Hello everybody and welcome to the Overwatch League. We're here for the first set of matches of the weekend. Of course, we've got the Asian games that are coming up. A couple more teams in the Asian region, so we've got a lot to look forward to. But for now, you're stuck with myself, Brennan Hook, and Joshua Wilkinson. We're going to be bringing you the action for game number 1, which is going to be Seoul Dynasty versus the Hangzhou Spark.
And I know we say this every single time, Brent, but I really do feel like this is going to be an incredible match.
Sure.
And I think that almost all of the games that are happening in the Asian region now are going to be bananas good, especially because we haven't seen the Seoul Dynasty play since week 8. So now going up against the Hangzhou Spark today, this is a bit of a taster. They're not taking on the best team in the region yet. That's tomorrow when they play against the Shanghai Dragons. But today, I think we get a bit of a tester for really, are the Seoul Dynasty the real deal?
Well, let's take a look at the Seoul starting lineups then to actually see what players they're running. And like you said, Josh, these are a bunch of guys that we haven't seen for about 4 weeks now, actually. It's been a while since we've seen them last play. When we last saw them, they were on the west coast of the United States of America, and they played against both of the Los Angeles teams and won in quite a dominant fashion.
Dominated them. Absolutely dominated them. And what we thought then was that them playing the Orisa Sigma meta with Gesture and Marvel was part of the reason why they looked like such an absolute force. Now, Orisa isn't available this week, but Gesture and Marvel are still in that starting lineup. So that makes me think that there's something weird going on here. We're expecting teams to play the Reinhardt.
Yeah.
That would normally be Marvel. Gesture doesn't play off-tank. There's something fishy going on here.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting, and especially because I think, at least I assumed that we would be returning back to sort of the Reinhardt Diva compositions, that sort of thing, but to see both of those players backing the starting roster, it screams a little bit of tomfoolery.
Maybe some Ryan Sigma, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, could definitely
This is our first look at that hero pool anyway.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look on the other side of it, the Hangzhou Spark starting lineup. These guys obviously haven't been having the best of times recently. Not going to point any fingers at any particular players in the team, but you'll notice that there are some changes in this roster, namely Bazzi no longer starting for the team.
Yes, it is a slightly different meta though as well.
Yep.
And so Bazzi was playing a bit of the Sombra last week, a little bit of the Mei. Adora normally just their full-time Mei player, so I would expect him to be playing a lot of that. Rhea being in is interesting as well, because we had a little period of time where Sashin was playing. The most recent game that the Hangzhou Spark played, Rhea came back into the lineup. Unfortunately, 2 losses is what the Hangzhou Spark are coming off of last week, but they are still up there, I think. They play competitive games against the Guangzhou Charge, and apart from the Shanghai Dragons, they look to be fairly even with the other teams in the Asian region. So I do genuinely think that this is going to be a fairly high-level game of Overwatch that we're about to witness.
Well, we're going to be getting into the game soon enough, but before that, we are going to be taking a look at the map set that we're going to be playing on today, at least in terms of the maps. The first one going to be, of course, a classic Busan. Do you think any of these players on either team are actually from Busan, Josh?
They probably are, actually.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a little voice in the back of my head that says the Gesture's from Busan, but that might be totally incorrect. I don't know. They probably are, though. It's a very large city in South Korea. Yeah.
Something was also telling me, there's not that there's someone in my ear telling me right now, but I don't know, some weird piece of information that's just stored there that maybe Gesture actually might be from Busan. But
it might have just been that he played with GC Busan. I don't know. I can't really remember.
I mean, he did play with GC Busan, so yeah. I'm not too sure. But the map set itself, obviously Busan's going to be the first map that these guys are playing on. I don't have the map set in front of me because I need to pull it up on my phone, Josh. But
it's Volskaya and then Dorado. Those are the maps that we're absolutely destined to play on today. And then Hollywood and then the rest of the control maps if we actually end up getting there. I hope that this isn't a 3-0 game. I think there's potential for it. I think some people are expecting it to be a 3-0 game in favor of the Seoul Dynasty, who are up there with the Shanghai Dragons and with the Philadelphia Fusion and the San Francisco Shock as teams that people are saying are the best in the world right now. But the thing is, we've only really seen 2 matches from the Seoul Dynasty in one meta. So this here today is a demonstration of how good Seoul Dynasty are going to be on a range of different metas. How well does this tank line perform when they're not just able to play the comfort picks of Orisa and Sigma?
Yeah. Interesting little compositions that are being teased here. Obviously, Widowmaker back in the pool. able to be played. And yeah, Seoul are kind of doing what we thought they might be doing, actually, if they're running Gesture and Marvel at the same time, and that's going to be running the Rhine Sigma. I do find that quite interesting. D.Va, very powerful hero over the course of the entirety of the history of Overwatch as a game, so it's always a little bit weird to see her not being played, but Godsby on the Widowmaker takes a quick little shot to the cranium, has to back off temporarily, and Adora's going to be pumping in the damage as well on the fire, straight from above, but it's Fitz who's going to be claiming the first blood. Bebe goes down, taking away a lot of the heals now from the Hangzhou Spark. They don't have that Ana anymore, but the Resurrect does come through. IDK gets it off. Fitz still getting away with a little bit of murder off on the sides. Prophet as well, hitting an Icicle straight across the map onto Adora. Could be anyone's game still. The Icicle going to be blocking a lot of shots from Godsby, but it looks like Seoul have the advantage for now.
Yeah, with that kind of rush style is what we're calling it, where you group up and you're playing as a team, as 6 players. Whereas the Hangzhou Spark have opted for a totally different strategy. They're going to play the counter composition, trying to spread them across angles. Godsby taking one flank, the Pharah harassing from above, and the 2 tanks just trying to pull and peel people apart. So a lot of pressure on Fitz to be able to hit those shots on Adora and stay alive. Avoid the sightlines from Godsby.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Widowmaker on this particular section of Busan. We'll see the shots though from Adora as they come in. Nice Bionade, connects onto 2. Gesture and Marvel going to get chunked down. They have to back off for heals now and play with the rest of their team. But still, Seoul are in control of the point for the time being. And Godsby finally gets the kill onto Fitz. Claiming that one, opens it up for his team to really get a lot of work done. And there you go, Adora of the Rockets into the back line. Guangzhou just really trying to seal the deal by leaping into the fray. He does just that. Only a few remnants of Seoul left remaining. Marvel most likely going to get demeched here, despite the fact that he wanted to run his wee little legs. He doesn't really have legs. He's in a mech, I guess. Boosters. Run his wee little boosters away. I don't know.
Sure. I think he still has legs. I think the D.Va mech still has legs.
Still have legs, Josh, but he was flying through the air, so I don't know.
Well, okay, I suppose so. The Seoul Dynasty are going to be loaded up with ultimates here, but it's going to be slightly difficult for them to be able to take space against the Pharah, so that's why Marvel's moved over to the D.Va as well. Ooh. Started out on the Sigma. Nice boost from Prophet.
Oh my goodness,
a wall.
The wall boost into the Deadeye, securing that kill for them. It's opened things up, but Fitz will go down to Guangzhou regardless. The Resurrect onto Adora means that Hangzhou are still in this fight, and they have...
Look at that Bionade.
The barrage, huge Bionade. Toby and Badosin getting ridiculously chunked down, unable to be healed back up. Hangzhou Spark just opened up off the back of some pretty sick plays from actually the support line of Hangzhou there.
But what's important to note here, Bren, is that the Seoul Dynasty's composition is so good at being able to get on that point and just dominate it. So even though they ended up losing that fight, they still started ticking up progress themselves, because the Hangzhou's composition can't really contest the point. The Pharah Mercy aren't going to do that, the Widowmaker isn't going to do that, and the tanks would just get shredded. So for Hangzhou, they need the kills. Seoul Dynasty can play the point, but they're making changes of their own, going over to the Wrecking Ball, who is now asleep, and Prophet on the Sombra.
Yeah, this is interesting. Prophet going to be just teasing them on the point a little bit, just spraying, trying to get a capture percentage, pulling them back, but Fitz gets the better of Godsby. No more Widowmaker to worry about. The stun, somehow Adora gets flashbanged out of his animation there, couldn't get the barrage off, and Fitz still hitting shots. Great clutch plays from him, finally brings down Adora, to be able to pepper down as well Rhea, and Seoul back in control of the point. Adora, unfortunately, whether it was a mistake on his own part or maybe Rhea just wasn't there to peel for him, but a bit of a mistake there, getting caught out of position.
I love this swap from the Seoul Dynasty, moving Prophet over to the Sombra. The Sombra is so good at being able to get hacks on Guangzhou and Rhea, and without those tanks, the Hangzhou Spark's previous composition, utterly useless. So now you see Hangzhou mirroring somewhat.
Gesture nano boosted, he leaped in, but immediately slept up by Bebe. Bebe's been having a great game so far for Hangzhou, but Seoul Dynasty are still pushing them straight back into the spawn. They're just desperate trying to touch the point, but they won't be able to do it. And Seoul Dynasty going to be taking round number 1, map number 1 of this series.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bren, if these compositions are anything to extrapolate from, it seems like we've got quite a dynamic meta going on. I was slightly concerned, I'm not going to lie to you, that we would be going back to the very strict meta of Mei, McCree, Reinhardt, or with a D.Va or a Sigma.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's some counterplay available. Maybe not on this map, because Pharah is not really playable because you're inside a small enclosed space, but on other maps, we could definitely see both teams experimenting and counter-comping each other, which is really one of the most wonderful things to see in Overwatch, as the two teams figure out exactly how to outplay each other.
Yeah, on the fly, the ability to change your heroes just mid-game is one of the things that makes Overwatch quite special and a little bit different to a lot of other games as well. But we'll see both teams clashing now. The May is going to be played here.
Nice
of course,
wall.
the Mega Base, look at that wall, but instantly brought down. You can see it just bursted through, and are able to save Guxui's life. Now Rhea just putting in a bit of spam damage, using those hyperspheres, seeing if he can get a kill or two. The accretion off onto the flank, but blocked once more by Gesture, but it's Godspeed is the one who claims the first kill. Profit going down means that Seoul Dynasty are not going to be having anything to really work with. No ice walls. Counter charge as well. Guxui just swinging through his enemies. He's able to build up an absolutely huge amount of his Earth Shatter. And it looks like Hangzhou Spark will be gaining control at this point pretty early on.
Really nice pick onto Profit, and Godspeed finds another one onto Profit and follows up again.
Look at this
guy. He is the defining player for the Hangzhou Spark. I know that a lot of people like to talk about Guxui and how flashy IDK is, but Godspeed is the primary damage dealer for this team, and if he's having a good day, the Spark look like a reinvigorated roster. He really is the backbone of how much damage they're able to pump out.
Yeah, I think they get turned from a great team into a truly excellent one. He's playing up to his prime form. I mean, look at him, just putting in the spam damage, trying to take these off angles, seeing if he can get that early damage in, and it looks like Hangzhou want to try and take the advantage. Early Ice Wall from Profit is going to be trying to push them apart. Guxui gets the nano boost, though, lays down the shatter. 2 down in the backline. The swing is the fadeaway. He collects one kill.
Counter shatter.
Seoul Dynasty just roll over the backline whilst all that was happening. It was a flashy play by Guxui, but flashy plays sometimes don't win the day.
I think that was a boop as well from Toby. Managed to get Guxui off the high ground, or for some reason Guxui decided to move his way over towards the back, and Gesture, as soon as the enemy Reinhardt wasn't there, landed a 3-man shatter onto both DPS and IDK, and with the help of his team managed to take them down. Great work from Gesture, because we weren't really sure about his Reinhardt last year. He looks to be fairly solid on it here today.
Oh, Ice Wall used early now by Hangzhou. It's one of those shots! Oh my goodness!
Monstrous!
2 back-to-back headshots, just delete Fitz. Or delete Godspeed, I should say. Marvel! Look at that with a Graphitic Flux, takes out 2. A little bit of spam damage to find the third. Seoul again going to be cleaning up Hangzhou as they try to engage that. Nice and quick, shut down by Fitz with pure mechanical ability. You love to see it.
Definitely. IDK had his soundbar available in that fight, but with Marvel using it and them already 1 down, IDK retains the sound barrier and they look to push in again. A lot of ults available here for Hangzhou. They're going to lead with this Deadeye, just designed to zone, give them a little bit of space to be able to work through the choke.
Oh, he's going to get 8 up by Marvel. He's going to get a lot of shields. The Blizzard comes down as well, but it's traded on either side. Everyone's frozen up right now. Don't really quite know what's going on. We were just staring at the wall, but it looks like Seoul are getting the better of it, as Hangzhou have decided to just reset. You can see them just running off the maps here. Godspeed should be running off the map. He's trying to get a little bit of a trade kill before he went down. I can respect it. But
well,
Seoul
another big
are
difference
still
in that fight.
In control.
Another big difference in that fight, Bren. Toby uses his sound barrier. IDK saves his again. This is the second fight in a row where ultimates have been exchanged. IDK does not use that sound barrier. Either not in position or decided that there were better uses for it. But Hangzhou have got to get value out of it here. If they lose this fight, it's game over.
Gravitic Flux straight up. Rhea sends him back down again. Immortality Field onto Seoul, keeps them alive. No one's really going to be bursting through them. Look at that flashbang shatter. Oh my goodness, the coordination. It's unreal. Seoul Dynasty looking like an elite squad, well-trained, well-versed. And those sort of combo plays between Fitz and Gesture. Josh, you love to see it because Seoul Dynasty have just taken map number 1.
It feels like we've hardly begun, Bren. What on earth is this? That was so good for so many reasons as well, though. It wasn't the classic stuff that we expected coming out from the Seoul Dynasty, perhaps, with Gesture fielded on the Reinhardt, but he looked great at moments there. A fantastic counter shatter at one point, and then the pace that they're playing at the end of the fight. I mean, IDK never even got an opportunity to use his sound barrier at all in that second round. They just played at a higher tempo, drove forwards, flashbang shatter, utilizing the aggression, the pace, speed, violence and momentum, and knock them all down on the ground. If Seoul Dynasty continue playing like this, I mean, we may have a #1 squad on our hands. This is going to be so good.
They look good. They look really good, Josh. But will they take the crown as the best team in Asia? Well, we'll find that out tomorrow. But we're going to find out more from this series, at least, after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows and the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
I went down the street, right? And all of a sudden, this huge explosion comes in there. It's like, no! And there's some cold chaos and it's shitting. And it's going, no! And I'm like, ah! And I'm like, ah!
Download now.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. This has been quite an entertaining series so far between the Seoul Dynasty and the Hangzhou Spark. We've witnessed map number 1 so far. And Josh, I had a flashback then, a memory of earlier this year when I was in Korea. I was sat down with Arnold, who works for Seoul Dynasty, and I remember looking at this roster on paper. What Seoul are running right now, you got Gesture, Prophet, Bedosin, and the rest of the Seoul gang all meshing together. I remember looking at this, and at the time, you know, it may have been late at night, you know, we may have consumed some very lovely Korean food, but I remember thinking to myself, this has the makings as potentially the best team this year. Now, people disagreed with me, but from what we've seen thus far from this team, on an individual basis, from the teamwork, from it flowing together, it's certainly making a case for it right now.
Yeah, I think they've done an incredible job at getting the best out of certain people. Fitz, for example, was somebody that we didn't see that much of last year, at least on a range of DPS roles, but he's really come into his own. His stock was very high in the offseason. A lot of other pro players talking about how good he was. And then he's just essentially exploded onto the scene in 2020 alongside Prophet. The Prophet's damage-dealing duo is incredibly good. It has the potential to be just hands down the best in the league. And then you pair Gesture alongside Marvel. I don't think many people really thought that that would be the tank duo. I mean, you think about it, Marvel has just come out this year and proven that he can play every main tank and now all of the off tanks that are required. Yeah. He was playing D.Va in that map. He was playing D.Va on some of the previous maps that he's played with the Seoul Dynasty as well. That's unusually good. And the Seoul Dynasty have just taken it all in stride. They look better than people thought they were going to be. And people already thought they were going to be a pretty decent team. So they're arguably the best in the league right now. But this match against the Spark and their next match against Shanghai are required to really be able to test their mettle and prove that.
Yeah, I think as well, if we reflect just on map number 1 a little bit as well, looking at the Hangzhou Spark, I think a lot of people are going to be probably blaming IDK for quite a bit during that game just because of that last round. I would say to those people, hold your horses, you know, in terms of the sound barrier not getting used towards the end there. I imagine a lot of you are probably watching that thinking, you know, I know how to press Q in my plat games, but this isn't a plat game. And sometimes when the tempo is being played that fast, like Seoul were playing so aggressively into them, there's not really the correct opportunity to use that ultimate, especially if you get picked off early. You don't want to be taking a poor engagement into a team like Seoul and wasting that ultimate away when you could have other opportunities later into the season. But
definitely. And that's really one of the biggest differences between the elite level teams, like the teams that are gunning for a championship this year. I'm thinking about the Philly Fusions, the San Francisco Shocks, the Seoul Dynasty,
multiple of those
the
teams,
Shanghai
obviously.
Dragons. Yeah, these kind of teams that are really going for the #1 position this year, they all play at a very high tempo. They force mistakes out of their opponents because they make them make decisions faster than they can really react. And action is always faster than reaction. So the Seoul Dynasty, these kind of teams, they like to put their opponents on the back foot just by turning up the tempo. That's why Lucio is such a great hero to be able to work with. But from what we're seeing right now, it's not going to be on the field for at least the opening of this. Volskaya tends to be a bit more of like long-range battles rather than fast engagements.
Yes.
So we'll see how they adapt here.
A lot of poking, if you can, and that's what they're going to be doing. It's a wide map. It has these, as you said, Josh, long sight lines. So that's why you're seeing Zenyatta. Toby going to be switching, though, over to the Lucio. And Seoul just going to be poking, seeing what they're running. And Dora just going to be trying to farm up a bit of ult charge early on.
Yeah, this is an interesting composition from Hangzhou. They've got the dive tanks and a fairly solid backline that's a little bit susceptible to being dived or run over or something like that, but they can rotate around the map and help themselves fairly well. The issue is, they're really waiting for Adora to do something big.
Yeah.
And the Seoul Dynasty are going to keep rotating around the map and trying to run down Godsby or the backline. So the pressure's on Hangzhou here to get something done and not make any mistakes as Seoul Dynasty rotate around the map to perfect positions.
But one slip up and suddenly it all comes crumbling down. Gushwei forced the Prophet. That's opened it up now for Seoul. Seoul can walk forward. They have so much sustained staying power if they want to try and take this point now. And you can see them Prophet slowly creeping around the corner. He's going to get slept up though by IDK. He's playing the Ana for once. An interesting pick for him. Hangzhou not out of it just yet, but with Godsby going down like that, stunned up, shot down by Fitz, this might be over before it even started. And there you go, the tanks falling means that it's inevitable, much like Thanos. You're going to see Seoul just going to be creeping forwards now onto the second point.
Yeah, Adora's about to get his EMP up, so this could be a bit of a game changer here, but Seoul Dynasty still have a fairly good opportunity of just trying to roll this one all the way through. Toby nowhere near his sound barrier. They're going to have to negate Adora or push before he gets it, but Seoul are definitely going to try.
Then by Fitz. Trying to hunt for an opportunity, but
they got a
Rhea actually ends up going down, and they get a tick as well. Losing your D.Va here is not ideal, especially with the comp they're running, because Gushwei frozen up, half HP, has to back off now. Marvel going onto the flank, just trying to see if he can hit those side shots going with a Hypersphere. Someone needs to touch the point. No, Hangzhou, they have to contest this. EMP now is going to be connecting onto 6 of them, but it does not matter, or does it? It gives an opportunity, an opening now for Hangzhou to try and clutch this one up, but no one can touch the point. And Seoul are just rolling over the Hangzhou Spark with almost 5 minutes in the time bank.
Yeah, that's... You blink and you miss it. The Hangzhou Spark, I'm not going to say that I completely understand their defensive lineup there with the Soldier 76 and with the Sombra. It's not a composition that we've seen really ever before in competitive Overwatch, but with hero pools coming in, you know, you got to give these teams the benefit of the doubt. It probably worked in scrims and has some kind of counterplay against what other people are running. Yeah. But the Seoul Dynasty made it look like a useless composition there because they just pushed in, they got perfect Mei walls up from Prophet, they froze Gushwei and Rhea over and over again till it looked like the tanks were totally useless, and Adora's EMP had no follow-up. So that's a head-scratcher. I mean, Seoul are so far ahead of the Hangzhou Spark in terms of execution right now that the compositions might as well not even factor in. They're just rolling them over.
Yeah. It's been quite brutal if you're a Hangzhou fan. Seoul going to be rolling out with, again, a bit of the double shield action. Hangzhou going to be running what they believe to be, at least preemptively now, the counter composition is what a lot of teams think when you're running this, this Sombra Farah.
but it's very slow. The Sombra Farah comp, we saw it last week, and you're aiming for nano barrages or just the nano Farah in general. You're aiming for EMPs, or you're just trying to get picks on people, trying to shoot damage around the double shield setup. Oh, and Godsby actually moving over to the Widowmaker, perhaps? I would have expected him to stay on the Sombra, and yeah, he will eventually go back to the Sombra as well. So this is a slow comp from Hangzhou. They're just trying to get point A. They're not trying to get it at light speed. They just want to get it eventually.
I'm taking care of you.
Yeah, and it's going to be that slow siege is what you see often with these compositions. You see teams like Guangzhou, Chengdu running it last week. Dora's just going to be trying to send in those damage boosted rockets. See if he can get an early pick off. If he can connect 1 or 2 onto the supports and the backline, set things up maybe. Could be a great opening. Bebe's getting his money worth right now when it comes to that ultimate charge. You can see him already on 80%, and that nano is one of the keys to victory.
The problem is, as you can see Prophet looking for it. As soon as Bebe comes forward, the Seoul Dynasty, if they get an inkling of it, they can rush forwards and try and kill them.
Prophet steps forward. Nanobu's going to be used early onto Gushue here. Comes up. The Immortality Field is down. Prophet doesn't have his Ice Wall, but the team peel is there. Soul defending him. The charge comes out as well by Gesture. Just pushes Gushue out the way, though.
That peel is so good.
Hangzhou not getting what they were looking for, but yes, Josh, as you said, it's all because of the Seoul Dynasty and their peel and fits. He's just hitting shots left, right, and center. Rhea caught between a rock and a hard place right now as he's trying to basically work his way into the rest of the team, but Seoul are just on top of it, able to clean up the tanks, able to just clean up everyone. It almost looks trivial when they're on these heroes, when they have this kind of coordination. And Hangzhou's struggling to just try and break into anything.
I want to give a shout out to Marvel as well, because this guy's been a truly transcendent talent on the Sigma. He showed it, glimpses of it, last year in the playoffs, when he really looked like the best Sigma to not make it deep in the playoffs, if you want to put it like that. And now in 2020, he's looked like hands down the best Sigma. Pairing up alongside Gesture, made Gesture look amazing as well. This guy, what a breakout year for him it could be.
We'll see now as Seoul Dynasty are going to just hold on. Remember, it's Hangzhou are the ones that have to try and cap this one in. They have to start playing aggressively. Nice rockets into the backline. The flashbang is going to be sending Adora packing, though. Makes him back off a little bit. Toby might be in trouble, though. He's caught in the corner. That was Gushue juggling him, setting him up for the kill. Dora's rocket was the one who finished him off, but Gushue with the ultimate is the one who made it happen. And Adora with the environmental kill as well. But Dosen goes down. This could be best case scenario for Hangzhou right now, using little to no ultimates to try and take this one. If they can still take this point now without using anything, Seoul might be in a bit of a troubling scenario. You can see Prophet using his Ice Wall just to try and split off Hangzhou, but they just work their way around it. Prophet using his Ice Block now to see if he can just survive this one out. Nice little hack though onto Toby. And Hangzhou, I gotta say, despite the fact that they had to use EMP to clean up that fight, they're gonna be moving into the next one now with the Nano Barrage.
Nano Barrage does make this next fight winnable, yes, but I think the Seoul Dynasty managing to drag that out long enough so that Godsby used his EMP is a huge win for Seoul, because now there's, apart from that Nano Barrage, there's very little chance of just a direct roll and easy caps. Volskaya, we've seen it be very attackers favored this year. It is the assault map with the highest completion rate. Normally teams take multiple rounds here. And certainly with 5 minutes on the clock, there is no chance that Hangzhou set a similar time to the Seoul Dynasty, but this Nano Barrage is going to be everything, and you can see that Fitz knows it.
I mean, mate, it's so hard. I mean, when Fitz, he just is aware of it right now. Goes for the barrage anyway, but stunned! Flashbanged! He will get Fitz, but cancelled out of his ultimate. Fitz, you know, making the plays, even despite the fact that he went down into the grave 6 feet deep. But Hangzhou are not out of it just yet. Marvel's still present on the point, trying to save this one. The Gravitic Flux comes up, connects onto the tanks, but he's falling quite low. Soundbarrier, though, from Toby will keep them in the fight. Hangzhou look to try and continue fighting this one as they're committing ultimates, but too little too late. The waste of the Soundbarrier from Rhea as he thought he could try and turn this one, but the tempo of Seoul a little bit too much.
And what I don't like about the Hangzhou Spark's composition is that it has no point presence. And on Assault, you need point presence to force the defenders to come towards you. Otherwise, they can put one player on the point, delay for a little while, next player comes to the point, they delay for a little while. Hangzhou needs some utter point clearing kind of composition, or some point presence. Otherwise, they're just going to slowly lose. Dora now makes a switch over to the Soldier 76. This is a very similar composition to the one they used on defense, and it didn't get anything. I don't know whether this is much better. It's got a bit more point presence with the Soldier 76, but now Gesture's in a position where he can dive. And look at this Winston matchup as well, Brent. Gesture versus Guangzhou.
This is what dreams are made of, Josh. Guangzhou versus Gesture, two of the best Winstons in the world. We might get to see them really clash as well. Guangzhou using his Primal Rage, falling very, very low, but he's going to try and get this pick off. But look at the peel from Seoul, booping him all over the place. That was a whip shot coming out there from Toby. Doesn't even need the boop on Lucio. He still gets it done, despite the fact that he's playing Brigitte. Seoul are just cleaning them up. Great synergy coming out from all members of Seoul to really work together to just try and stave off the aggression from Hangzhou there.
I feel like if Adora was able to play the Tracer, he would be using it. But Tracer as a hero is unavailable this week, and so he's forced onto the Soldier 76 instead. It's less mobile, less opportunity to get consistent damage in, more repositioning around the map. And I'm not sure how he's really going to be able to make this work. They need hacks onto Marvel or Gesture and to shred the tanks. That's the whole aim of the Hangzhou Spark.
I'm not a huge fan of the Soldier 76, but we'll see if they can make it work. Gesture's going to be the recipient of the Nano Boost. He gets booped back though, so he's not going to be getting as much value out of it as he might have hoped. And Marvel does go down, which is going to crack things open now for Hangzhou to try and make some plays. You can see Rhea working his way into the back line. Just really trying to approach onto them. Fitz going to get his Deadeye 8 up. The defense matrix coming in clutch there from Rhea. Rhea having a great game thus far. We're seeing them just collecting these kills. Now the tactical visor, we'll see if it actually gets a kill. You've only ever seen 2 of them in Overwatch League history. Gesture going down. Hangzhou Spark definitely making it work right now. So much capture points as well. They have 86%. The self-destruct takes down Toby, and they do get the capture. But at what cost, Josh? Because look at the difference in time bank.
The difference in time bank is steep for sure, but I think Hangzhou can be happy about that. It looked for a long time like they had no chance of being able to capture there, but Adora got a lot of work done. Adora was able to take out Profit, that's a huge pick, and they managed to demech Marvel as well fairly early on in that. And the additional point presence was really huge because when you're playing the Pharah and you can't really stay on the point with the Pharah or the Sombra, there's no way of dragging the Seoul Dynasty to you and forcing a fight. But with the Soldier 76 there and with the double dive tanks able to actually sit on the point, Seoul were forced to kind of play at the same tempo as the Hangzhou Spark, and they got those tank kills. They got the kill on Profit. It ended up working out the way that they wanted it to. The defense, though, was a totally different story. Thankfully, they'll get an opportunity to attack before they have to rethink their defense.
Well, the trouble is, I'm looking at Hangzhou Spark's initial composition, the one that they're teasing us with right now. Remember, of course, they can change it up at any time, but this takes a while to come online, and unless you get, you know, the opening pickoffs like Hangzhou did last time, they got a hack, they got the environmental kills, they were able to make it work, had to use the EMP in the end. It does take a lot of time to try and build up those.
It does, yeah.
You know, team fight winning ultimates. You know, they're looking for the Nano Barrage, they're looking for the EMPs, and a minute probably isn't going to cut it, but they're going to certainly try and make it work. God bless them.
And that means that a lot of pressure is on Adora because he's basically the only person that can get in big rockets. He doesn't have a Mercy though. They're running the Ana Lucio with this. Oh no, IDK now moving over to the Mercy. So Adora is going to have that damage boost. A little late in the fight. Took 20 seconds for him to be able to be in a position to do that. Wasting a little bit of time, but prioritizing positioning over all else.
Yeah, you can see the tanks now of Hangzhou trying to take away the high ground from Seoul. Force him onto the low ground, but Fitz, he hits the shots. Takes out Adora. The resurrect from IDK instantly because they recognize they don't have a lot of time. Only 20 seconds now. They cannot waste a single moment of it. Godspeed falling quite low, but still playing passive. You can notice the positioning as well as Toby's just protecting him, just hanging around the corner, ready to boop at a moment's notice. Fitz still going for these shots. Look at the damage he's pumping in. IDK falling so low, and he softened them up enough for Marvel to take him out. The kills flowing in for Seoul right now. Hangzhou Spark with an opening. Gesture going down to the Bionade. Let's see if they can capitalize off it. Fitz from up high. Deadeye going to be used, but no one can even touch the point because of it. And that's going to mean that Hangzhou, they don't get any capture point on that second point. And they've got an absolute monstrous task ahead of them. They've got to hold against the Seoul Dynasty when they have 5.5 minutes.
Oh yeah, this absolutely looks done. We haven't really seen holds like this. I mean, they've got more time to be able to take one tick than they had to capture the entirety of the 2 points to begin with. You only start with 4 minutes. Now they've got 5.5. I want to point out again, Marvel on the Diva. a hero that he wasn't supposed to be playing. He was never signed to play that hero. No one ever thought that he would be playing that hero or could play that hero. And yet, he finds crucial picks on IDK and then shuts down Adora straight afterwards as well. This guy's playing at a top level on an off-tank as a main tank player. And not any brand new off-tank like Sigma that he's had the full time to be able to work with. He's trying to catch up to people that have been playing D.Va for their entire professional careers, for years. I mean, this is bafflingly incredible from the Seoul Dynasty's tank line.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Like, who would have known that Marvel was really capable of it? We knew he was a good main tank from last year. Like, we knew he was an excellent main tank.
Oh, yeah.
He was getting playtime over Fisher. But seeing this now, I mean...
He's just a god gamer.
It is astounding. Some people, Josh, are so talented. They're able to pick up just a role just like that. And Seoul making full usage of it. Fitz teasing us with the winner-maker gameplay. I would have liked to have seen it, but goes over to McCree. So don't blame him for that one whatsoever. A bit more consistent damage output, the flashbang as well. Definitely. To negate Nodora when he's going to be trying to farm up that EMP. You can see them just immediately playing high pace. Seoul taking a little bit of a left-hand approach. Going to be trying to take the high ground now as well. Super important.
Last time it was Gushue that died really early on, actually to profit. Oh, nice bio nade coming out from IDK. That's going to slow them down a little bit. The Seoul Dynasty are just aiming to move around the map, deny position away from Hangzhou, push them into worse positions, eventually collapse
out of position. That is a great opportunity, and they spot it instantly. Wonderful stuff by Hangzhou. Vince's flashbang gets used. They know that he's a diveable target. Gushue spotted it within a millisecond. Instinctual.
You know, with 5.5 minutes, you might think that the Seoul Dynasty would try one of these slower-paced compositions that have really big ultimates to be able to work with. And sure, most people will consider Blizzard to be one of those really big ultimates. Against the Hangzhou Spark, though, unless you get it on their backline, it's not going to find that much value, because everybody else can kind of dodge it. So Seoul's win condition here isn't really based on ultimates, it's more based on good rotations around the map and being able to push Bebe and IDK and Godspeed into bad positions eventually without losing.
Gushue, he's got the primal rage, he's in your house. It's not quite 3 AM, but it's close enough, and he's chunked them down. The damage is done, and that allows Hangzhou to just clean them up.
I'm not going to lie, Brent, this is a little worrying for the Seoul Dynasty, and I know that might sound silly to say when they had 5.5 minutes, but because they failed the first fight, they've given Nana Boost over. They win the next fight with Nana Boost, the Hangzhou Spark. They now have Primal for the next fight, and EMP for one of these later fights. Nana Boost is then going to be charged. So this ult cycle is going to start to get online for the Hangzhou Spark. They still have to make 0 mistakes, though. Yeah. So the Seoul Dynasty are likely to force out a mistake at some point. So, still pretty even. But Hangzhou are in a decent position.
As well, I'm looking at the team. Does
maybe Marvel. Honestly, Marvel's a good nano target here because he can shred Gushue. Or even counter-shred Rhea.
See what they choose to use. They know that Hangzhou Spark have ultimates. We're going to see the Deadeye going to be used by Fitz. He's working for it. They just want to try and create space because they're forcing him to the point. The EMP gets cancelled! Oh my goodness! I'm not sure who did that. I think it was Fitz with the flashbang. But those kind of plays are the things that you need to make it work. Shield going to be keeping him alive. Gushue has to come up clutch now with the Primal Rage. He's moving in, but someone needs to stay onto the point now. They have to contest this. They cannot give up at single tick, and Hangzhou might be doing this. Godspeed collects 2 kills, Gesture falling low, but it has to be picture perfect now from Hangzhou Spark, and it might just be that if they can clean up the rest of these players. Nice sleep dart. They're going to be able to stagger up Marvel as well.
Brent, this stagger is absolutely crucial because Bebe died, and if Bebe can't get back in time, it presents a huge opportunity for Seoul Dynasty to aggressively engage. But because they got the stagger on Marvel, Bebe is going to get back in time, and there's no opportunity for Seoul Dynasty to come back in. What a crazy turnaround for the Hangzhou Spark. After getting it flashed out of their EMP, they still come out with the win. That's the power of Gushue.
Yeah, I got to give credit to Gushue for his Primal Rage then. I think he set up Seoul to be in position for the Hangzhou Spark to really pop off, in particular Godspeed, to allow him to get those pickoffs onto the stragglers of Seoul when they were split up by Gushue's Primal Rage. But they've got to defend again because Seoul are back in this fight. Marvel's found an opportunity. He moves straight into the backline. Bebe goes down. They've lost their Discord Orb. They've lost a lot of their damage. And Godspeed using the Tactical Visor. Earth Shatter down. The Fire Strike as well. It's brutal. The South Destruct. How much do you want one man to die? Godspeed, you know, he just makes the decision for them. He's going to use his Helix Rocket, ends up taking his own life because of it. Nanoboost now going to be used on the side of Seoul, and Fitz is just going to be cleaning up the rest of the players, and My word, it was a good effort by Hangzhou Spark. I could give them credit for that, but Seoul Dynasty eventually, as I said before, they are inevitable, and they have taken map number 2 in this series.
Yeah, honestly, great work from the Hangzhou Spark. They showed how that composition works. When you win the first fight, the ults then snowball, and you set up a cycle where you can really stay in control. Great play from Gushui on the Winston. Really nice positioning from Adora most of the time as well. Yeah. But you see how that one death onto Bebe, when he came back into the fight, wasn't able to be on the high ground in time, even though they got that stagger onto Marvel. And that the fact that he was on the low ground allows Michelle to get that pick and open up the entire fight. Sorry, Marvel, of course. I'm saying Michelle because I'm just assuming that it would be Michelle playing the off tank.
Muscle memory in your brain. You just assume it'll be Michelle playing the diva.
It is.
Yeah.
My brain isn't a very good muscle, though. It hasn't had much training, which might be the problem there. But yeah, Marvel. And again, Marvel. What on earth is he doing on off-tank, but still putting up a ridiculously good performance? Yeah. This guy can play everything.
I think he might have been hitting the hyperbolic time chamber. I'm not too sure, but we're going to find out. Can Hangzhou Spark do almost the impossible at this point? Can they reverse sweep Seoul, or are Seoul going to seal the deal with a third and final map? We're going to find out after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renter's insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, Mama. Just making sure you're getting your exercise.
Of course I am. We have Quibi included in our T-Mobile plan.
How does that help you exercise?
I walk into the kitchen and watch Chrissy Teigen.
Okay.
Later, I rush upstairs to watch Idris Elba.
Mama, it's only exercise if you get your heart rate up.
Ooh, that Idris Elba gets my heart rate way up.
Watch quick bite shows from today's biggest stars. Now when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch League and welcome to the game break presented by, what is it, Josh? Remind me.
It's Cheese It Grooves.
Cheese It Grooves, of course. I didn't forget,
of course it
in
is.
case you're wondering. I just wanted to give Josh the limelight, you know, because I'm selfless like that.
You really are.
Josh, we have just witnessed, I don't want to say a stomping because Hangzhou Spark were showing signs of life and they really were showing signs of maybe battering back on that second map. But Josh, how can Hangzhou battle back from this?
Well, in this crunch time presented by Cheese It Grooves, Brennan, because it really is crunch time for the Hangzhou Spark, I want to run through some kind of little factoids for any Hangzhou Spark fans out there. And I mean factoids in the sense that they're small, not in the sense that they're incorrect. I would never lie to you guys. The Spark have actually never lost to the Seoul Dynasty. Okay? They are 3-0 all time against the Seoul Dynasty. Franchise wins. They've beaten them every single time they went up against them. So, okay, history is on their side. The last time they played Last year, on Dorado, which is the next map, the Spark set the 5th fastest time ever. So Spark, looking pretty good on Dorado. It's against a different Seoul Dynasty team, but all right, the last time they played, they're setting records against them. And that's the map that's coming up. Then after that, we have a hybrid map.
Okay.
Hybrid is the only map type that the Dynasty have lost in 2020. Right? That still carries over right now because they're 2-0.
Yep.
And it's the Spark's best map type. So if you're a Hangzhou Spark fan here, you're banking on a win on Dorado with some kind of record-setting attack time, and you're banking on them being able to win on hybrid, which is the only map type that the Seoul Dynasty have actually lost on. So that's the only chance here for the Hangzhou Spark. They can come back.
You've put forward some numbers. You've put forward the statistics. I don't like to believe in statistics, Josh. I believe in the heart. And in my heart of hearts, I think the Hangzhou Spark might be able to do it just because their colors look cool. You provide the facts. I provide the grit, you know, that we need in this broadcast. But I'm going to stop raving now because it's the end of our crunch time presented by Cheesy Grooves. There's also the end of our game break. If you can't tell already, the coffee might be wearing off. Might need a little bit more of it. But I'm going to drink that in the break. But we're going to have more of this series coming up soon enough.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Hey, Mama. Just making sure you're getting your exercise.
Of course I am. We have Quibi included in our T-Mobile plan.
How does that help you exercise?
I walk into the kitchen and watch Chrissy Teigen.
Okay.
Later, I rush upstairs to watch Idris Elba.
Mama, it's only exercise if you get your heart rate up.
Ooh, that Idris Elba gets my heart rate way up.
Watch quick bite shows from today's biggest stars. Now when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, party people. Did you miss me? Probably not, but we've got a game ahead of us. It's actually been quite a good one, if you ask me. We've got the Seoul Dynasty versus the Hangzhou Spark. We are 2 maps in. We have potentially 1 more, potentially 3 more. Who knows, you know? Because, Josh, you made some riveting arguments for potentially a comeback for the Hangzhou Spark. The fact that, you know, the map types that were going on, the fact that the Hangzhou Spark are setting records on Dorado, the fact that, you know, hybrid, one of the better map types overall. Real opportunities for Hangzhou to try and rally now and come back. But can they do it against the Seoul Dynasty? That is the question on everybody's mind, because Seoul are just looking like a well-oiled war machine, just trudging forward, you know,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think the analogy is perfectly apt. The Seoul Dynasty had some question marks around them because we weren't sure how they'd perform without Orisa being in the pool, and Gestures looked great there. We weren't sure how they'd look with Michelle in the lineup, and they've decided not to run Michelle, so there's another question answered. And we wanted to see more consistency from them as the amount of matches increased. Here in their third match, they look as dominant as they did in the previous two against a team that we know is pretty good. I mean, I would say that the Hangzhou Spark are about the same level as the Gladiators, who the Seoul Dynasty also rolled. So if they continue this kind of stuff, then, oh boy, the game tomorrow against the Shanghai Dragons is just going to be
so
incredible.
So
incredible. But they have to win this one first, and this is where the Spark try and turn it around. Again, running the same composition. No Lucio. Going for a lot of poke with their backline, a lot of utility, and also having that Soldier 76. So they're looking to ult cycle here. And Gushui is going to be a big part of this first round.
Yeah. I did find it entertaining just staring at the moving spray for a short while. I don't know, maybe I've got the brain of a monkey. I'm just easily entertained by that. But here we have it. Seoul Dynasty going to be making their approach, their attack into Hangzhou Spark. Hangzhou going to be running the long-range damage. Gushui dropping down just for a moment, seeing if he can build up some of that primal rage. Backs off to the safety of his team, but look at those shots from Fitz. Armor packed up on a Thursday, just waltzing in. It's not Thursday anymore, is it? It's actually...
It might be where he lives. Different time zones, isn't it?
Yeah, could be a couple of days.
Yeah, it's probably Thursday.
Out of sync, you know how time zones work, but Seoul have gotten good progress thus far. They've already made it so that they've pushed the card up through this choke point, but the real meat now with Dorado is trying to chunk your way through this first section. Here we have it. Profit on the Sombra, tries to go for an early hack, but gets spammed out by Hangzhou. The peel was there. Quite good from them. Seeing if they can find another hack or two. Profit's desperately searching for one on the tank line. Now he's going to be working and wiggling his way into the back here. Seeing if he can maybe get one onto the support line. Here we go.
I gotta say, I love this Brigitte as well, because he can put the armor pack onto Profit and he can just go crazy in the backlines. Gesture takes the Nana boost as well and dominates the Hangzhou Spark's backline. They really don't have any peel against the Winston. If Gesture and Profit get in position and execute those dives that they were absolutely known for at their peak as the world's best Tracer Winston, Sombra Winston, whatever you want to call it, duo, then Hangzhou Spark's backline is going to be demolished, and that's why IDK makes the swap over to Brig. He can give armor packs to Adora, allow him to play more aggressively, build up that charge faster, just like Profit is, and also provides a bit more stability for the backline. But they're missing out on a lot of healing. As soon as this Transcendence is gone, I would expect Bebe to move over to the Ana as well.
I gotta say, the Soldier 76, or at least some of the weaknesses of it, I think are showing a little bit here, and you can see Seoul just playing so aggressively into them. EMP on top as Profit connects it onto so many players, enough that Gesture can clean up the remnants. As Fitz went in for a nice little counter flank as well, just running across the rooftops.
And honestly, Bren, I think they were hoping that Bebe's Transcendence would be able to save them from that EMP. I think that's the main reason that Bebe didn't make the swap over to the Ana, and he died. So now he's in a position where, alright, you have Trans, but
it's brutal.
Are you going to pop it in this fight when you don't have an EMP on the other side?
Yeah, I don't really like the Zenyatta in this sort of play, because Seoul not only have a better healing output, but there's so much pressure on Bebe to get something done on this final point.
Trans is popped.
Transcendence going to be used, and it's faded already. What value did they get out of it? Not much. Gesture has a primal rage. Gushui is also in the back line. Gesture just stunned up, just waiting, trying to create a bit of space and openings. Fitz goes in for it. Dodges the self-destruct as well. That's expertly done. Good. Very clean. Gushui into the back line, but look at that peel. Gesture, though, able to survive for the time being, uses his primal rage, but now he's hacked up. And as I was educated by earlier, when a primal raging Winston is hacked up, it's not his legs that get turned off, it's his jetpack on his back.
Of course.
I thought he used his legs to jump. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I forgot he had a jetpack.
Yep, so did I. And it does make sense when it's explained to you, because gorillas can't normally jump over houses. So yeah, that kind of does make sense, actually, that he has a jetpack.
Okay, this is Adora's time to shine, though, but Seoul take the aggressive approach. EMP gets used, counter EMP by Adora. He's going to be connecting onto a couple of members of Seoul here. Fitz falling very low, and he will go down. See if they can find the pick as well. Got to be just trying to lay in the shots into Profit. Finally brings him down. Hangzhou are able to at least stop the bleeding for the time being.
I think that Bebe's stuck now because he's got half a Transcendence. Prophet is going over to the Mei. They don't want the Zen in this comp. The Zen is not better than the Ana. But Bebe was stuck on it because the Trance is a good counter to the EMP. And now I feel like this backline just does not have any of the healing required to keep anyone from Hangzhou Spark alive.
Yeah, healing and honestly the win conditions that a Zenyatta's going to give you are not that great in the first place. Rally going to be used by Toby, giving them extra health, and he's going to get the D-Mech. Fits with that Deadeye. That's going to be a good opening now for Seoul to really just start to take space. And Guchui, I don't know what happened there. I think he was just kind of
melted.
Stuck. Yeah, frozen up by Prophet, I believe. Well, not quite, but still goes down regardless. And it is a brutal scenario. I'm just looking at this little fight that's taking place in the corridors and looking at the kill feed at the same time. And Seoul are picking them apart.
They certainly are. A lot of armor being given out here for Toby. IDK had already used this rally in the previous fight. Nice dive onto Fitz.
Okay.
But Doshin also falls, so the Hangzhou Spark with their Transcendence making good work of this fight.
They
and
win
they'll
this
have
fight.
the EMP for next time, so the ult cycling is going to continue to be pretty good here from Hangzhou.
Yeah. They win this fight, they're going to be looking pretty golden, actually. Curious to see if Bebe actually makes the swap now, or if he just sticks with the Zen. And if this might be a case of them just, I don't know,
Being comfortable on it.
Win condition, being comfortable on it, because, yeah, I mean, it's unusual for sure, but maybe they just want to play around this Discord orb with the dive tank heroes, you know, with Guchui on the Winston, with Rhea on the Diva. That might make sense.
It applies a bit more pressure to Fitz, but you can see he's sat at 250 health right now with that Brigitte armor, so he's not going to be too worried. They're going to be worried about the Adora EMP, though. EMP and Primal available.
EMP comes out, connects only onto Gesture, but Prophet and Fitz are tangled up right now in a bit of a web, but Fitz hitting these shots. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd being able to hit him in the air there, but he does it anyway, but Godsby answers back. Prophet, though, you can't forget about him on the point, and no one was able to touch it. Seoul just gracefully glided into the final checkpoint, and they're going to get a nice little time bank on Dorado, and completing Dorado, I cannot stress enough how big of a deal that is.
It really is. No record times like we were talking about in the crunch time, presented, of course, by Cheesy Grooves. But nevertheless, a fairly decent completion by the Seoul Dynasty. I wouldn't say that it was a roll, but I think they just outmuscled them in all of the important team fights. Sure, Hangzhou won the ones where they had EMP up and where they had Transcendence up, but those ultimates are not going to be online all the time, and generally the neutral fights went the way of Seoul. Nice swap towards the end there to move back towards the brawly compositions with Prophet on the Mei, because that fits point C of Dorado. It's the architecture and the geography of the map are more conducive to playing tightly together. Now this I'm interested in, Brett. Give me Gesture on the Winston and Fitz on the Widowmaker.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I want to see Gesture and Guchui on the Winston. I have been hyping up both of these guys on Winston for what feels like actually years. So
yeah, it has been years.
It has been years, right? I mean,
yeah.
There's a bit of nostalgia.
I think they're the two
attached.
best Winstons in the world. I think historically you would have to say that maybe like Fissure comes close and Mano, but really when you're thinking about the best Winstons in the world, it is Gesture and Guchui.
They are facing off. Godspeed on the Widowmaker as well. That was just early on, though. He's gonna make the switch. Indeed, he does. Over to the McCree. Okay, I like it. I prefer the McCree over the composition they were trying to play, where they run a soldier. I see Godspeed going back to spawn. Please don't switch after I've just hyped you up. I'm gassing the man up. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, I ain't
take the Widow Duel.
I ain't complaining. Take the Widow Duel all day, baby. I want to see this again. It's the style of Overwatch that I love. My bread and butter. My forte, let's see it. Nice little headshot, connects there onto Gesture. Has to back off, the dive by, the Hangzhou Spark is there. They're able to put in a ton of damage. And Fitz goes down to a door, actually, which is going to allow Godspeed to get even more aggressive with the sightlines. Guchui, though, stunned up with the Bionade as well. That's great by Bedosin and Toby. They lock him down and they take him out. And now Seoul can breathe a little bit more now that they have that opening pick.
Hangzhou are going to continue to run this Zenyatta here on the attack, and the Zen Brig is really good at being able to empower like a hardcore dive comp, but when you're playing slower with the Sombra and with the Widowmaker, I get the feeling that the Ana is just going to provide more value the longer this goes on.
Maybe, but you've got to play fast with the Adora on the Sombra, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Look at that, Guangzhou takes out Marvel. They force out the Nano Boost as well onto Gesture, but Gesture doesn't get anything done with it. But Adora going down in the end, and Fitz losing the Widowmaker 1v1. Never ideal. Hangzhou Spark probably going to have to be going back to the drawing board here after Seoul get those opening picks.
Yeah, Prophet's going to outpace Adora a little bit. Oh, nice shot from
these
Fitz.
are nasty, honestly.
I will say, another question mark about what Seoul Dynasty are running. Why is Fitz on the Widowmaker instead of Gesture, when we saw that Gesture absolutely bodied you in a Widowmaker 1v1? I mean, surely that makes him the best Widowmaker in the league, doesn't it, Brent?
You are correct about that one. Gesture, a lot of people don't know this. He has a top 500 Widowmaker account. Very, very good at that one individual role. And honestly, the only reason he beat me in the 1v1, he is actually the Seoul Dynasty's best Widowmaker. If we were in an era
Fitz would
where...
have something to say about that.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, he's doing all right. He's doing okay. He's doing okay in this game itself. We see the hacks being used, though. Prophet uses the EMP. It only connected onto one. It only connected onto IDK. And IDK had already got the rally off, so no value for Seoul using that EMP. Bit of a question mark for me. Guangzhou though with the Primal Rage. The Sleep Dart misses. He's going to be seeing if he can get any value now, and this is what we want to see, this POV slamming them into the corner. He's going to get slept up again, though, but immediately woken up and leaps straight into the backline once more. Seoul fully EMP'd up, fully hacked across the board. And it is just cleanup duty right now for the Hangzhou Spark. They're able to easily find these pickoffs.
Yeah, that EMP from Prophet, I mean, you can see what the entire team was going for. They went for a really aggressive play, hoping to catch Bebe with his trousers down, but Bebe firmly fastened them up. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. Bebe he's a Zen. He doesn't need trousers, all right?
He does wear trousers, though.
Monk. Does he?
Yeah.
It's more of like a skirt kind of thing. It's like a monk's robes.
I mean, in some skins they're trousers, at least, from what I can remember.
Okay, well, anyway, he had his trousers firmly up. They were fastened by a belt, and he popped his trance.
Look, he's got trousers on. Look carefully. Look,
okay.
See?
All right, yeah.
Yep.
Somewhat trousers.
Okay, dive
there, though.
Yep, very nice dive attempt. IDK is obliterated from the Nano Boost. If you guys could also send us pictures of your favorite pair of trousers that Zen wears with his skins, that'd be great. Bebe, though, the trousers won't be saving him from that one as Fitz takes him out. And a lot of even trades, though. Hangzhou Spark, with Rhea getting that kill, instantly demeched, which is never ideal. Still got to say Seoul are going to have the advantage coming into this one, especially when Fitz is hitting these shots. I mean, expert movement as well, just able to stay onto the top of the ledge there.
I think also, I hate to keep harping on about this point, but Badosin on the Ana, I think is allowing Jester to just play a bit more aggressively, because he knows that he's going to get healed up while he's flying through the air, more so than Guangzhou will. So they're able to execute these fast dives into the backline of Bebe and IDK, a bit more than we're seeing from the Hangzhou Spark. EMP now available for Prophet. Is he going to be able to land it, or will it be a whiff like the previous one?
Fitz has his flashbang, but it's not going to be good enough. He goes down almost instantly. Godspeed hitting some lovely shots onto him, and now Adora, all eyes on him to see if he can get some value out of this EMP. He did fall quite low, so he has to back off now, but big Bionade onto Godspeed once more. Bebe going to be using a Transcendence, but again, Transcendence can't heal you when you've got that anti-nade on you. And Seoul, they just dive onto Godspeed, recognizing that was the target they needed to bring down. Rally was used a bit preemptively there by IDK as well, but Seoul still firmly in control.
Seoul definitely in control, and you can see Gesture just getting healed up as they take down Rhea. Bebe popped his Transcendence, but back up to 50%, so not that bad here. Although will die again. These dives from Gesture, so well coordinated with the peel from Marvel, the aggression coming out from Fitz. It's beautiful to see Gesture back on this hero. He's just got such an intuitive feel for it, and the flow of the game. Both teams now with EMP though. No trance up for Bebe, so nothing really to mitigate it, though he might get it if they play a little slow. But they can't afford to play too slow because there's only 1 minute on the door.
Oh, the EMP, it connects onto the right target. Bebe, under 50 HP, has to back off, or when I say back off, I mean he just has to fall, doesn't he? He has to die in the end, and Godspeed just gives up on the ledge, wants to reset with the rest of his team, realized he was in a pretty naughty position. And Hangzhou Spark are in a bit of a troubling scenario. Now the tanks do back out, they don't get staggered, which is the good news if you're a Hangzhou Spark fan, but now they only have 30 seconds remaining to see if they can make a push attempt to happen.
30 seconds and 5 ults. So as they work their way around the right-hand side, this aggression's going to come out from Seoul Dynasty, attempting to force out ultimates. I like this from Seoul.
Oh, but the hack comes out. Fitz is going to be EMP'd. Doesn't really need much else, though, other than the Peacekeeper and a Nano Boost. He puts in a lot of damage. Gesture goes down, but Fitz takes out Guangzhou in response to it, and he is on the high. He is the high ground, so powerful from this positioning. Fitz able to just hit shot after shot after shot. And with only 3 seconds remaining, look at him. It's just a Predator pouncing on his prey. The overtime will get triggered in the end, and that was by Adora just tickling the cart. And he's given Hangzhou a bit of a lifeline here. They have to make this work. It's do or die for the series right now. Deadeye from Fitz. It's going to get negated. The Primal Rage obliterated. Guangzhou falls into the final dregs of the team fight. Hangzhou Spark losing their main tank. Not ideal at all. And Seoul are ready and waiting. The shots are supreme. Hacks coming on point as well as Rhea was disabled for just a moment. Hangzhou are still trying to play this, but as the players begin to fall and topple one at a time, the Nano Boost applied over the Fitz for one last time potentially this series. Flashbang dodged, duped, moved out the way. Hangzhou desperately trying to make it work, but it's all for naught as the Seoul Dynasty will reign supreme, taking the series 3-0.
The Seoul Dynasty came into the Overwatch League in 2018 hoping to establish a dynasty, hoping to take the best players from Korea and make a championship team. They failed in 2018. They underperformed again in 2019. But in 2020, they absolutely look like a dominant force from Korea. The exact thing this team was built to be is right now, that's what's happening. Yeah. The Seoul Dynasty have proven themselves across 3 matches now against tough opponents in a multiple metas, and every player on that team looks supremely good.
Yep, and honestly, the outcome of this match was, I think, a testament to how good Seoul really are. I personally had my doubts. It's been so long since we've seen them. Remember the last time before this match just now was, of course, week 8. I mean, that was against some of the Los Angeles teams. Of course, they're no slouches, but right now, this really does cement Seoul as one of the top teams currently playing in the Overwatch League. But enough talking. Let's go over to our favorite segment of all time, ever, Josh. It's our Player of the Match presented by Xfinity. And it's going to be the one and only Fitz.
Yeah, he had a really great game. And something that we didn't really talk about enough, I think, because Gesture and Marvel and the way that this tank line play and then Profit get a lot of the attention because they're really the backbone. But the Flare on top, the Cherry, the guy who's always there performing at a high level this year is Fitz. And like I said a little earlier on, the performances we saw from him in 2019 were not extensive, not flashy. He did his job when he needed to, but he only really played a couple of heroes because the meta diversity wasn't that large. In the offseason, we heard about how good this guy is, and in 2020, he's come out and just blazingly good on all of the heroes that he's had an opportunity to play. This guy is definitely for real.
Yep. Astounding plays all around from Seoul, really living up to as we said previously, the legacy that they wanted to set out with this team. When they call themselves the Dynasty, you expect that kind of play. And finally, we are seeing it. And it's a beauty to behold. But I believe that's going to be doing it for us personally, Josh. But the games are going to be continuing. We've got 2 more matches coming up now. You've seen some of the best right now in the Asian region. But we are going to be coming up, which I believe is, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, we're going to be seeing the Guangzhou Charge versus the Shanghai Dragons.
Yes,
and that's going to be it's going to be Mitch Leslie and Matt Morello, you know, Mr. X. They're going to be bringing you the action actually for the last 2 matches, so you're going to be treated to you know, some very good casting, I'm sure. But thank you very much for watching us. But do not go anywhere because there's going to be more Overwatch coming up after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows from the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, from the break to the Overwatch League. I'm Mitch Leslie, joined here by Matt Morello, and we are jumping in here for some late-night Overwatch, if you're at least in the United States. For those elsewhere, hello, good morning, good day to you all, and thank you for joining us, Matt. It feels like this is like the late-night radio version of what we do sort of during daytime Pacific, huh?
Yeah, I'm good with it, though. I have been staying up. I've been training for this my entire life. Late night video game grinds. I've been all about it. I got a new coffee machine today. I'm good to go.
Oh man, we are straight chilling. Thank you guys for joining us again. We are going to be kicking this one off, of course. Guangzhou Charge are going to be taking on the Shanghai Dragons. And for those that are familiar, for those who have been staying up or been getting up at the right time to catch this match, the last couple of times it's played out, it has not gone well for the Charge. Guangzhou currently 4-4 for this season, but their opponents a lot of people are saying that, you know, the Shanghai Dragons up there with now the Seoul Dynasty, we've been convinced, are set to rule this region.
Shanghai may be up there, you know, with the Philly Fusion as one of the best teams in the league. But let's talk about the Guangzhou Charge first.
All right.
They come in today, and the biggest change with their lineup is you see no Neptuno in it. Neptuno, I believe he tweeted about it, the team tweeted about it, but visa renewal, so he has to go back home. He has to get his visa sorted out, so they'll have Char in the lineup today.
Well, it's also because Neptuno found out that Echo was out of rotation this week, so he just left. He actually just packed his bags and left the house. So, yeah, good luck to him, of course, getting those issues resolved. And for now, the Charge will be going on without him. Still, though, I mean, this team's got a lot of potential. You know, obviously, Krong now showing up in the lineup much more. Nero's looked very, very good in whatever sort of position he's been able to fill over the last few games. But, frankly, you know, a lot of people pretty concerned about them up until recently getting that win against the Hangzhou Spark. So we'll have a look at the Shanghai Dragons, though, here, Matt, because there's a lot of hubbub about these guys.
It's just a really tough division for the Guangzhou Charge. I think in any other one, they'd be one of the better teams. The best team potentially in the Asian region is the Shanghai Dragons, though. Big addition in the offseason with Fleta, Void coming in. You know, Izayaki came on a little bit towards the end of last season, but now he's a mainstay pretty much. And this is a super stacked lineup. What we just saw with the Seoul Dynasty was extremely impressive against the Hangzhou Spark. And I think we're going to see another impressive performance from Shanghai here today, which sets up tomorrow to be an epic match between those two.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is the Charge have just struggled to, you know, be in a position where they've looked like they've threatened the Dragons, Matt. I mean, this roster, everyone knew it would be looking incredibly good coming out of the gates, but up until the last sort of couple of weeks, the Asian region has only been occupied by a select number of teams. We're starting to see more now, okay, with a lot of our teams with predominantly Korean rosters are actually moving back over there. For example, we're going to see New York for the first time since, I think, week 5 in Washington later on today. So now the competition potentially gets a little bit harder for them. Also, you know, a lot of that scouting that the Dragons did earlier on, you know, maybe isn't as impactful. They've got to now respond to some of these juggernaut teams that are entering the ring. The question is, can they stand up against them? A lot of people, if you're watching this game to see what Shanghai looks like, you want to see a clean team with absolutely no sort of weaknesses showing. In this hero pool, to have confidence that, you know, for them going up against a team like Seoul.
We haven't really seen a lot of bad play from the Dragons. I mean, you look at their map differential, right? When you compare it to like the Philly Fusion, we talked about this on Plat Chat this week, but when you look at the Shanghai Dragons, you know, they've lost, I think, 3 maps overall, and it was all in that series to Chengdu in the loss. I mean, they are just about perfect everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, and look, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, like, their control maps especially, they've had a really high win rate, so really clean. Like, a lot of teams, we see Guangzhou, for example, like 50% on those maps, but Shanghai have really been able to lock those first maps down pretty much straight out of the gate. I mean, this team has played, like, we've seen him in a bunch of different hero pools here. Of course, like, most recently, it was like the Hangzhou May, Sigma, Orisa combination. Stand 1 looks incredible on this roster.
This week seems to be, like, going a little bit of a throwback to where you're going back to where we were earlier on in the season. Shanghai, they'll play the Symmetra, and they actually get to the point first, which may force some changes out of Guangzhou, but it seems like the team's going to go towards maybe McCree and the May. For a lot of their damage dealers, and you combine that with the Rhine and the Diva. But Guangzhou, they make adjustments, right? They see that it's going to be the Symmetra on the point. They want to attack from all angles. They want to use Nero on the far up in the sky, put down the damage, and then come through with the Doom and the Wrecking Ball.
I mean, this is the combo you really want to see from these guys. Bear in mind, McCree is available to be played right now, but Nero, Chara, this combination, the Fire Mercy, has always looked really good. Shanghai, though, have definitely, you know, started with some positional control, and Nero even needs an Icicle from Fleta there, so still looking for a way to get in.
You know what, though? I think Nero, like, as time goes on, he'll definitely prove himself more of, like, a star potential, but I think he's a phenomenal DPS player. Like, I think if he got on a little bit of a team that was performing better, I think a lot of people would be talking about him much differently. As Happy goes in, picks out 1.
Yeah, Happy in. A lot of people may be hoping to see him on the McCree as well. Now that's back in the pool, but it is the Doomfist to start things off with, which is interesting in and of itself. Those that follow the Charge probably can figure out why. he'll be able to just sit back now. Fled has already been taken down, so the Charge, they find one pick and then they stagger and chase down the rest of these kills. DM switches over towards the McCree here, which is definitely the expected response when you see the skies lit up by Nero and Char.
Yeah, and it's what you have to do if you're Shanghai. Like, you can't, the disadvantage for Shanghai's competition there is that when they're playing the Symmetra and they're playing all the dive targets, they have to pick one and charge them down. But Symmetra's not good in that type of playstyle, right? No shields to really gain tons of charge off of. So once Guangzhou gets the advantage, pretty easy for them to take the point. Now the Dragons come back, dive tanks with a Sombra, so the Sombra can get the hacks on a maybe Rio or Krong. There it is on a Rio, and then you can dive.
Nero, again, really trying to make sure he stays out of line of sight from DM. The guy's filthy on hit scan in general. Void really setting the standard for off-tank play, especially out of this conference recently. So I want to be keeping an eye, but Nero, but he got put to sleep already. We're seeing some insanity. Iziaki down to Happy here, and Happy's going to drop in with a seismic slam and get the job done. EJ Gon's able to find him though. The brick switch now will make life a little bit harder for that Doomfist. Stan one's going to head back over the wall and out, and Guangzhou come up with the answer. They bring the Doomfist back with the res as well, and they are in good shape. 3 ultimates online.
Yeah, they end up using Meteor Strike, Valkyrie in their nano boost there, so they did commit 3 ults to the fight, and Shanghai, coming off of all those switches, obviously have none. So it's actually not a horrible fight for Shanghai, because now they'll end up building up Rally, they'll build up their nano boost. They're going to get closer towards an EMP here as well, which they could play late game, potentially take this back.
DM doesn't want to be here right now. Minefield around him, trying to find long-range shots on Chara. And look, his damage fall-off is significant when Nero is playing. Look how far away he is. Deadeye, well, damage fall-off, not really an issue with that one. He does at least force Nero out of line of sight, forcing the drop down. Self-destruct thrown in by Krong. That's going to take Iziaki down. There's the Dragons now operating at a disadvantage. Nero barrage finds DM, and he's going to have a lot of that DM defense matrix to protect him a lot of the time by Krong, and that'll be the cleanup. Shanghai Dragons come into this series looking indomitable, but early on, Guangzhou look very comfortable with the Faro Doomfist.
And if you're going to... It's interesting, right? Shanghai, if they come out and they play the main McCree at the beginning, Guangzhou probably matches them the entire time. But Guangzhou, they would love to play this type of playstyle where they can play Nero on the Far and Happy on other different types of picks and play a little bit more of a Chengdu Hunter-esque type of game, right? Against the Shanghai Dragons, where... it's quite interesting how that ended up working out there on the first point. Shanghai showing potentially very strong dive here with Flood on the Pharah and DM on the Sombra. Guangzhou, look, they're coming out. They want to play this standard, right? The McCree with the Mei, the Ryan, the Diva. It's such a strong composition. And Shanghai, they obviously don't want to play this. They're playing some different things here on Lijiang Tower at the beginning. Guangzhou may go back and they may change. If you're Guangzhou, you consider mirroring this potentially as, yeah, they're going to go back, make some changes.
Why not? Yeah. Guangzhou yet to win a map against Shanghai this season. It's been 2 3-0s back-to-back. They come out, though, and this hero pool looks to suit them just a little bit better. See what Happy now switching over towards the McCree can do. They don't want to match the Pharah.
I almost wouldn't say it's the hero pools as much as the way this map is played out with what Shanghai's done at the beginning of the maps and then what Guangzhou can go to. Because Guangzhou, I mean, their strength, right, is in some of these damage deals. You see Nero, nice translocate in the sky and gets a hack.
Well, it gets him within range to actually go for a hack at all. Happy and Shu are both down right now, so the Charge are really on the outside looking in for the time being. That'll give Shanghai the start that they were looking for. Nero may not have expected that guy to burst the defense matrix to protect DM.
Is
he switching? Maybe he's just done with that. We'll see.
Void in a perfect position there. As, the Happy Widow. So Happy, a phenomenal Widowmaker player. Nope, just goes for the one shot and then goes right back to McCree. So won't play the Widow here.
This is what Shanghai struggled with in the previous round, Matt. It's getting back in against the Pharah Mercy combo. Even McCree doesn't really guarantee you at all being able to get back in. They're hoping for a gambit from the Widow. Yeah, deal. Somehow,
Iziaki,
the healing.
That's unreal.
Yeah, Iziaki slams him with the healing. It's going to be an EMP on Nero and Rio right now. Flat is just going to take to the skies and try to follow up on that as much as he can, but Shanghai playing at a disadvantage after losing DM there. He is put to sleep as he comes to the ground, and Iziaki falls, and here's an opening now for the Charge. Rio just trying to deal again with what's on the periphery. Happy goes down. Still the Charge. Haven't managed to sort of take the point here. The Dragons have a chance to sort of reinforce this a little bit more. Stand one is brought back into the fight. Jagon gets him back up on his feet. The Dragons still control the point.
Yeah, they still control the point. You have a primal rage here to keep this going if you're the Shanghai Dragons. You're going to have players coming off the respawn, especially Void now with a self-destruct. You can probably keep this going, 75, 80%.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh my, okay. Izzyaki over the edge. Rio goes for the Primal Rage. Can't really get rid of Lee Jae-hon. Okay, he almost managed to get towards the mega helipack, but Flair's going to find 3. 3 with the barrage is huge, Matt. Not a lot for Guangzhou to work with now. Kronk hoping he can get back into the mech after the self-destruct, but he wasn't so lucky. Stand 1 gave himself up to get rid of the Mini Diva, but Void's still here on point. The Dragons still have the numbers, and the Charge have one more chance. If that, it's Chara's sound barrier that's going to have to lead the way, and they're going to go for the May. Hope it'll curse the Dragons here. 95 and counting.
Yes, they're going to have to use this sound barrier to potentially to engage. They may think that DM, though, has another EMP on the other side. Let's see, it looks like one player getting on the point. That'll be a contest here that comes in from Kronk, but this is beautiful here from Lee Zhenggang and the rest of Shanghai Dragons.
I mean, it's not even just Happy getting boofed off the map, man. It's Rio who tried to go in for the charge and got very quickly shunted back towards the rest of his team at like 10 HP. The Dragons will cover much better, and it's crazy to see, you know, what the pharmacy comp can do when you maintain control or at least win that first fight. The ult economy wasn't marred by having to switch after that first engagement either. This time the Dragons come up with the goods.
And this next point is probably where you'll see them match head-to-head, right? So you move inside, you're not going to see the Pharah Mercy, you're probably not going to see, maybe you see the Doomfist, right? I mean, you can play maybe May Reaper, May McCree, it depends, I think, on kind of what tanks you want to play, but I think you're going to see much different compositions, probably built around the May here.
It wouldn't be a shock. Symmetra to get people out of the gates, although we have seen that teams actually play with shield tanks. We'll try and get value out of Symmetra, but if the Dragons are, yeah, they're going to match, at least in terms of Reinhardt's. Again, it's a bit of a guessing game for us sometimes, whether it's just a Symmetra to speed them forward or actually want to use that. Happy though, I mean, if he has the option, Matt, it's the Gunslinger. DM though, and they thinks differently.
And they come out on the Symmetra again, so they ran this on the first point. They were able to get point control, but what happened was the Guangzhou Charge switched to a dive composition with the ball. You can't exactly do that here, so you may get more value out of the Symmetra against these barriers.
Well, again, you have Reinhardt and you have the Zarya combination here. Fleta also, the longer the fight goes, both Fleta and DM get stronger. Fleta literally is just going to be able to, you know, feed off enemy teams' health bars, and DM literally charging up and doing more damage. So
if you're Guangzhou, like, what do you go towards here, right? When it happened on the first point, you went to Wrecking Ball Diva with a Pharah Mercy and a Doomfist. You can't play that composition here, so way more opportunity for Shanghai to win this in terms of counterpicking them.
That's a really nicely placed wall though. The Zarya cut out of line of sight. Void couldn't throw any sort of barrier towards stand 1 at the time that he would have liked, but now as the fight goes a little bit longer, the DPS of Shanghai have an opportunity to get in here. Rio is down, DM trying to play at extreme range. Shu cannot connect, and here's the Graviton surge. Void's fully charged. This could be the turnaround. They lost DM and Izzyaki, but they still trade 2 for 2. With Void going down, Jagon's going to go for the sound barrier here. The Dragons are committing not just for the stall, but for the potential to win the fight. Big shatter. Chara knocked to the ground. Happy trying to find a shot here. Stand 1 is removed, and if the Dragons come up short-handed here, they'll be missing their Lucio ult, and they lose control of the point as well. Such aggression from the Dragons.
Yes, the Dragons end up using a sound barrier there in a 2v2, and they keep Stand 1 up, and then he has a shatter. I'm trying to where the rest of the members of the Shanghai Dragons coming off the respawn. I thought we were going to see a mass flood of them in through the teleporter that DF had on the point. But
I think they just thought they could win that fight with the shatter.
Yeah, potentially, right? Because you had the Death Blossom coming in from Flooded towards the end of the fight, but still, you got 36%. We're going to be basically about an even game to the point. Starts to be contested again.
Bear in mind, walls do not make Symmetras being charged up. It does cost ammunition to burn them down. DM goes for a wall, but Nero pretty much negates him for much of the fight. All he can do is try and break through the ice. Void bundled on out, and the Guangzhou Charge now sitting pretty. Even though DM now, does he have switch here, Matt? Because he obviously used the Symmetra ult. It's pretty tough with the May walls in his way.
Yep. You have to. Yeah, I mean, you have to switch this, as the Symmetra potentially could end up losing Shanghai really the map, right? It kind of cost him a 0.1, and now it costs him here. Look at all the ultimates to charge have your beautiful May wall to separate.
They bust the May wall down quickly, but it's not fast enough. Stand 1 is standing alone this time around. Izzyaki removed,
and that's the
Dragons have to go again.
And that's the issue with May here at the professional level, is that even when you nerf the wall and it's easier to get through, right? You can fit through one of those slides. It's a little bit easier to burst down. Teams are so good as when one player gets isolated for the Lucio speed boost to come in and just collapse on them. Look at this. Stand 1 again, gets caught on the other side of the May wall. Lee Jae-gon goes over the side and help him. He drops. They lose the tank anyway. This is bad for Shanghai.
The longer this goes on, the more frantic, the more desperate the Dragons get to try and even find their way into the point. Shu taken down by DM here, but it's unlikely really this will bother the Guangzhou Charge too much. They'll back up just because they don't have a ton of front-loaded healing. Really only the aura healing of Chara. This is an opening. Just one option now. One chance for the Dragons to make their way through. Fleta has a death loss. Patiently been sitting on there, but he runs straight into McCree. Fearing the flashbang, he's going to have to Wraith walk away. Playing behind Stan 1's shield, there's going to have to be an immortality field thrown down and keep Stan 1 in fighting form. Wall thrown out, Fleta in the backline. No, this is what they were looking for. Shouldn't have to go down. He's found a third, and the Dragons, the 11th hour, Matt. The ticket out of jail was Fleta.
And it comes at the best time imaginable. Nero actually gets a May wall, and then he thinks he has enough players split off with a Blizzard to attempt the Blizzard, and he ends up dropping the Blizzard. Fleta on the flank, though, sees the Baptiste. Shu not even looking at him. Didn't have the Immortality field available at the time. He's able to land a massive Death Blossom. It's interesting, they sent him back to the spawn and they put him on the May. So this is what I think the Shanghai Dragons wanted to see from the Charge originally. They wanted to end up playing into this mirror, but this map's kind of gotten away from them in terms of matching compositions.
Amplification Matrix thrown down, but all the Charge are forced out of the right trajectory to make that work. Shu is down, and this is why the Dragons switched the May. They can control these choke points much more effectively than they could have with just the Reaper and Symmetra, but you need to have the point to make this work.
And you also don't feel bad about switching off of the Reaper to the May when the May uses the ultimate for Guangzhou, Nero pops that Blizzard, and then you use your Death Blossom. So you're both about even, right? Which now has allowed Fleta literally to get even in terms of percentage with Nero, as it's going to be a nice May wall from Fleta. Catches a few players out. Nothing going to happen, though, because of the sound barrier.
Yeah, but that almost worked perfectly. Chara was on the wrong side of that May wall, the only player cut off for the rest of the Charge. He had to wait and hope his team would stay alive before he went for the beat. Had he used the beat behind the wall, obviously it would have been blocked by line of sight. Fleta has a Blizzard, he's going to throw it in the doorway, and Chara and Jay got to try to fight, but Void turns up the heat in the opening, and now Chara realizes there was no help coming at all. The Dragons on the precipice of losing the first map this season to the Charge, fight back and make it a heck of an exciting Li Jiangtao. But this is what we've been missing out on while we've been sleeping in our beds at 3 a.m.
Well, what I love there at the end, actually, which is super interesting, is that Fleta's sitting there towards the door. He's got his Blizzard. He wants to actually pop the Blizzard, right? And and Krung goes by because he has to go contest on the Diva. And once he flies by, Fleta doesn't even freeze him. He lets him just go home free because, well, now there's no defense matrix there, so he can just drop the Blizzard at the door. The Charge have to.
And the Charge they are choosing to split their team up because they have no other choice.
I mean, they had to, right? They had to go contest.
All right, this is already starting to look pretty good. The Charge showing more signs of life than they sort of had in the past. They're still looking for that first map win against the Dragons. We'll see if they can do that after the break. Map 2 is coming right at you. It's a pleasure to be here. Stick around.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows from the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. We are getting your Week 12 weekend kicked off with a bang already. We've seen some great games tonight so far, and the Charger looking like they might be able to hold a candle to the Dragons, at least in parts. But it's another map dropped to them. But Lijiang Tower, Matt, was definitely an exciting affair, at least.
And I think with the Charge, it's never been a thing with them. Like, they don't have the talent to contend with the teams like Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons. It's like they just fall a little bit short at times, right? Like those big crucial team fights, like the situations where it turns into just like a one-fight game. They always seem to come out on the other side of that. It's just pretty tough as seeing it as somebody who, I like watching the Charge play. It's tough to see time and time again. But as we go into the next map, I expect this to be another close one. I don't think this is a series where Shanghai is going to run away with it, like how we saw Seoul just run away with it over Hangzhou.
Well, I like this one. This map, Paul, actually, I mean, I don't know if people have checked the stats at all. I know you hate them, but this is an extremely good map for Guangzhou. They're 3-0 on this map. The Dragons haven't won this map yet this season. Now, in fairness, they've only played it once, but still, like, if you are a Guangzhou fan and you're looking to see if there's fallibility in the Dragons, then your eyes should be very closely fixed on how the teams play out here on Volskaya.
Well, I think just this year in general, we have to be really careful about how we look at, like, map data in terms of, like, win percentages and stuff for teams, because like it obviously varies so much with opponent, hero pool, I mean, there's a lot, right, in terms of, like, who they're playing, where they located, right? So I think it's like a lot that could be determined, by a lot of other factors. So just looking through the rosters, we do not have a sub on either side. So we get to this one, it'll be Shanghai on defense with Flood and Diem. It'll be the Farah-McCree combination. So I want to play this from range. It'll be interesting if Guangzhou busts out the Ashe, as Ashe Widowmaker would be very interesting.
Also, a little bit concerning when it comes to counter dive. If the Dragons, you see it here, they got Stand 1 and Void, so they do have the ability to actually be more proactive as defenders here and try and take the fight, especially with Fledder over the top to the Charge. Happy Nero.
Just checking.
Yeah, we'll see what they deliberate.
Yeah, potentially thinking it's a Sombra pick. So Guangzhou, they'll change and they'll play a Sombra of their own. They stay. We'll see what happens when they. Oh, they're gonna play Rio on the Winston. Interesting. So
Winston.
So you'll have him being able to dive into the back line onto the Ana, let's say, and you can set this up with the hacks.
All right, Nero's just tried to take note of the position there of Izayaki as he went through over the high ground. Now he plays behind Void. Now, does Void try and get hacked early? Does he just try and get some easy ult charge off of him? We'll see that in a sec. So Rio spins on through here. Void is hacked. Okay, so a lot of easy ult charge there for Nero, but he's been playing dangerously. Low on health. Fledder gets baited in, though. That's a big pickup. Jagon, no chance of getting a resurrect there. His teammate was well and truly within enemy territory. The Charge just bait the Dragons in. They know they're playing a dive sort of defense. They know they're going to come forward. They have a player advantage now. They have to compete. They have to capitalize.
It's a super interesting position that Fledder was playing. I mean, so aggressive. It's a nice headshot there from Happy, and then he has one more body shot to finish off Diem. They do get a res off, as this is getting very dangerous for the Dragons.
Oh, Diem just got knocked off the map by Rio here, who's just an absolute menace on the wrecking ball. Happy's able to find Void now, and Stand 1 fares no better. Shu cleans him up, and I mean, whatever way you slice it, Matt, that really started off the back of Fledder pushing over the top of the gate.
And I think he thought he was pretty safe playing over the gate because they had 2-3 players in already, but he didn't account for Happy on the McCree. I mean, he's such a strong McCree player. You gotta show a little bit more respect than that, right? I mean, even if you want to play there at the gate. So now Guangzhou, fabulous position. They switch to the Rhine here to get through some of these chokes, play a little bit slower, and you can do that because you're playing around this EMP Deadeye combination.
Fledder's decided that the Charge have had too much fun. Trying to put an end to that. I'm going to switch over towards the mate here, and the Charge customarily move up to the top right-hand side, so they can't be walled off early on in the fight. Happy knows something was happening above his head. He actually sees Stand 1 drop down, and he is electrified. Can't go for a Primal Rage now, even if he wanted to. He's hacked briefly. Look at Happy try and push forward. Look at all this real estate being taken. Despite how low Rio's shield was, he's able to generate enough threat to get the Charge back through the door. Now, they do pay a Deadeye for that one, but I think he's pleased enough with that result. Void's in trouble. He got hacked up. He's being desperately healed by Jagon from across the map. You see Diem now is trying to force the Charge back. both teams just trying to dance around these Deadeyes. Rio actually got his shield broken. He's frozen up. He got nano boosted. He will have a chance to get some value out of that one with a primal from stand 1. He just finds Shu immediately. Happy's in trouble as well. And he's a pancake.
Ooh,
okay, Chara. Clean.
Chara knocks him off. This is still a very good sequence of events for the Shanghai Dragons. Guangzhou with a very good push on their point A. And then right there, they blow all their ultimates. They have a chance to maybe go in, make a play out of, but they don't even make any percentage towards the point. As Void's trying to get a mech back 91%, he can counting. You know, he'll go back to the point. He'll be able to earn this rather quickly. So at least Shanghai, they go on a break here in the defense in terms of supports.
All right, Rio gains ground without having to sacrifice much of his shield HP. No Deadeyes required to get through the door this time. Because it's high noon was not the password. Oh dear, Jacob, that was extreme range. And then he sends Happy as Larry up on the perch and watches the charge now just dither about, knowing that they're missing their mate.
So BM.
Nero is furious. He's so mad right now. Happy's in trouble, and this really is a matter of time. Happy's going to try and turn the fight around with a Deadeye DM. Oh, he gets him first. Happy's going to be forced off. Another whip shot. Jagon finds yet another. It's just as well because the charge had a chance to fight back. Now, though, that's been taken away from him.
Heavy into that.
Not another one. Oh, God.
They use beat and shatter there in the corner. So you already had lost your main.
So this is something that we saw from Guangzhou on the prior map as well, like the way that but Shanghai have done it as well. Remember, Shanghai tried to beat in a 2v2 situation and win a fight with Shadow. So both of these, I don't know,
it's
man.
Much different though. I mean, at that point, right, with Shanghai, you have control of the point, right? You're accruing percentage. I mean, this you're not close to the point if you're the Guangzhou Charge. So it'll be Lijigan using his rally, basically keeping himself up, and then just swinging mace to the face, right? I mean, just blasting people.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, Jagon knows he got caught there, but he knew that he always had to get a jail-free card and rally. Now, he still kept his shield up, and he still played around corners, but I mean, that gave so much time for the Dragons just to collapse on them. Void on this Sigma so far this season has just been incredibly good. He's like tied for second in lowest deaths per 10 minutes, tied for second gravitic flux kills per 10 minutes. Like, his Sigma statistically is just really nice.
He's a sick player in general. Right? I mean, when he got into the Gladiators, I mean, that was a big addition.
People underrated him on that Gladiators roster, though, because they struggle to find
I do think, though, he kind of got, like, I mean, I think he got lumped into, like, when we talked about, like, the Gladiators tank line, with, like, you know, in terms of, like, you know, I don't think a lot of people thought Roller was the best tank for the Gladiators. I think he just kind of got lumped into that, like, the tanks instead of just a tank. So.
Okay, stand 1 Shadow gets Chara and Shu there. Shu just went for that amplification matrix. Stand 1 just wants to keep his shield up a little bit longer. He's quite happy being split off from his team, providing that they can in turn pincer. Rio has a Shatter himself, and also Nero with a Blizzard. So this is a real opportunity for the Charge. They may not have a better one. Gonna be a Nanaboost on the stand 1, but can he cross the gap? No, look at the disengage quickly. Rio is just trying to hop, skip, and jump away, and Krong, ever attentive to detail, even gets the defense matrix eat on the Fire Strike, and they buy some time, but the Charge don't waste ults in that fight. It was the Nanaboost and the Shadow that forced the Charge out, but the keep ults, Guangzhou, they got 1 minute to go.
So 4 ults here for the Charge, although they don't have any percentage here on the point. Still, the big thing for the Dragons, though, is having this Blizzard, right? Like, you can have the Shatter, the Self-Destruct, the Sound Barrier. You have to invest, like, 2 of those just to get rid of this Blizzard. And if you're the Dragons, what you can do is you can Gravitic Flux here, that'll force Sound Barrier out, and then just Blizzard right after it. You're in a great spot. Get Rally, too.
Jagon might be trying to, he's playing for the high ground actually out of view, maybe trying to deny a Lucio there if possible. Fletter, cheeky, just hops out of the Blizzard. Stand 1's been taken down, now it's going to be a Sound Barrier. The Charge are committing to the fight. DM sat in the back corner, trying to buy a little bit of time, maybe strike a Fear of God into the Charge. But only able to hold them back for a little while. It's enough time, though, for Esports to come back through. Stand 1's going to be back in the fight in no time. And that aggressive charge that Rio spent to get rid of him now doesn't mean a whole lot. Shoes down. Jagon's happy to deal with it even for the time being. Those Inspire procs are keeping him up. And Void, that's exactly where he's sending the Guangzhou Charge. Happy now has no sight line to work with whatsoever. Self-destruct over the top does claim DM, but Stand 1 is still alive on the point. Happy ain't getting anywhere close. And the Dragons managed to hold off on point B. No percentage for Guangzhou.
Guangzhou looks so good, man, at the beginning of that. But then the Dragons just turn up on defense. They get a lot of early first pickoffs, and then just being able to have some of those ultimates towards the end. I don't even know if Fled ended up using his Blizzard there. It wasn't even really necessary.
That's a great question. I actually have no idea. I know I saw Nero use it, and Fleder just got out of it with Ice Block.
Yeah, I mean, Fleder didn't use it really towards the end there. I mean, potentially he could have used it at the very end, but didn't see the Blizzard come out.
Well, he's got two Blizzard kills, so it's actually, I know we used it earlier on that round, so you might be right, Matt.
Yeah.
He might not actually have used it at all. Fleder actually only had 4 enemies frozen while he was playing Mei, so he didn't have to do too much crowd control in those big fights. I have to say, Void comes out with 5 final blows. These teams are really interesting, Matt. There's actually a lot of... I think it's also this hero pool as well, when you look at the Batiste and the Ana in the mix there. A lot of teams are just trying to bait each other or sort of force ultimates out. No one's full committing to a lot of these fights on Volskaya so far.
No, and the one thing I think you can worry a little bit about the Shanghai Dragons from what you've seen so far in this series, although I still think they're one of the handful of teams in the league you can say are the best team, but the fact that when we've seen them move away from the mirror matchup, right, and you have this like McCree and the Mei in the mix, they've looked beatable at times, right? Like when they played the Pharah, the Symmetra, and other stuff, they've definitely looked beatable, right? Where Guangzhou's gotten the better of them and other types of stuff. But when they can slow the game down and play a little bit more methodical around the Reinhardt and this type of Mei McCree setup, they look fantastic.
Yeah, it's why. I think it's fair enough. But that's why Shanghai Chengdu is always an interesting matchup, because Shanghai, if they get baited into playing overly aggressive, you see those individual errors creep in, but right now, I mean, they just want the charge to come to them, and they're gunning them down. Rio down first. They do lose this Yaki here, so not a lot of burst healing, but both teams have lost their flex support, so it's just Lucio's that both teams are running on. Happy is so dead. He's just a smear on the wall. Like
nobody's ever been dead
on his own, dude. Oh, it's about as dead as you can be.
I mean, that's a point A take for the ages. Is Shanghai? They just get one player split off of the Mei wall. They burn them down, and then after that, all you got to do is just trade kills out. So Shanghai, they'll be able to take this, and now they're going to have 6 minutes to get 1 tick of percentage here.
It's a lot of time, and I mean, it won't be a huge snowball here because the fight really wasn't that long, so the Charge at least have that feather in their cap. They didn't feed too much, well, managed to stay in step generally, except for the difference between Rio and Stand 1, which might be a little bit of an issue. Dragons being a real pain in the behind here. He just wants to deny his high ground, also just turn heads.
Yeah.
The rest of his team can walk through main, and what accretion! Yeah, okay, now the Charge are forced down. Into the Crucible they go, but they get rid of Stand 1 early, who was just caught as a loose end, and the Charge were able to use Chara's speed boost to get in there.
Rio's going to be forced to move forward here, and they have them split off.
Split.
Yeah, well, Shanghai, they have points to be able to, attack from the front and the side here, as they have the Guangzhou Charge split. It's very dangerous for Guangzhou.
Cromsty Suitor Deadeye could actually be a factor here. DM doesn't even need it now. Gravitic Flux. Oh yeah, it has to be an ice block there for Nero to keep himself alive, but he's going to be the only one there. Not unlike Mei Cinematic. Sad face. Sound barrier here for the Shanghai Dragons, and they're going to have that tick pretty easily now. Chara desperately hanging on the life. Deadeye attempting from Happy, but he's stunned up midway through. No dice for Happy. Crom desuited. Flater's going to sit back comfortably now. Yep, fair enough. Okay. Mei Icicle gets the kill on the Mini Diva, and Rio still needs to be dealt with here. It's going to be a mutual stun between the Reinhardt. Stand 1 trying to charge out of the Blizzard here as Nero finally gets that off. Flatter was stunned up. He has his ice block available now, so he'll be able to hang around. He may have used it prematurely there because he thought he was going to get flashed by Happy. That didn't even happen. And Rio is mowed over. Crom now just in full storm mode, and the Dragons, Matt, they had so much time to play with. And that is going to be a quick 2-0 already in the book.
Yes, when it looks like when Shanghai wants to go, they are not playing around, and they're able to just barrel right through Guangzhou. They were there on the B point fighting. I mean, look, I didn't get a chance to look at the clock at the end, but if they at worst had, 4 minutes left, if that didn't even work out. I mean, just a blistering pace there from Shanghai, one of the fastest on Volskaya.
Yeah, and you see that Shanghai look much more comfortable, Matt, when they're not really fallible to sort of be baited into any of that stuff. They get to dictate the flow of play. If teams can take that initiative away from them or just disrupt the game state enough, it looks like there's openings there, which is why I'm super excited to see what Seoul can do. Also, just the Flatter grudge match is going to be really good.
No, it's going to be awesome.
We'll keep chatting about that as the night goes on, but for now we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, your expert analysts for halftime are going to break it down. Stick around. We'll see you in a second.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renter's insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows from the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matthew Morello. Great casting early on, guys. Thanks for throwing it over to us to break things down to the half. And Matt, Shanghai look like they're on the road to another 3-0 against Guangzhou here, and some shakiness early on, but they definitely managed to get rid of that before halftime.
Well, it seems like the only time we've seen Shanghai either lose fights or even lose matches is when the game gets a little wacky. It gets out of sync, right? Like when Guangzhou was playing some odd compositions, same with Shanghai. They're trying to play some stuff that's not, I don't want to say off meta because the weeks change so much, but kind of off of like the standard types of compositions that you see each week. That's when they seem beatable. But when you see them go into this like May-McCree mirror matchup, that's when they look so dominant.
Now, let's take a moment to, take a look at one of the key factors in the match so far. That's right, it is time for Crunch Time, presented by Cheez-It Grooves. And our Crunch Time now, today, Matt, is centered around a support player, namely Lee Jae-gon. We actually got to see him play a bit more with the Brig. Yeah. Obviously, generally we see him on Lucio. He actually leads Lucio's in environmental kills per 10 minutes and knockback kills. But we saw he was able to provide that same thing on the Brigitte there. Those whip shots were looking nasty, and he especially derailed the charge on one of those attacking pushes into point B.
And we saw a lot of times from his POV on the Lucio going high off up the walls, like going above doorways so he can come from the other side of the doorway. They don't know he's over there, and come around with a boop. Fantastic play thus far. From Lee Jae-gong, and he's a player who's a huge impact for the Shanghai roster early on. Like we mentioned, a ton of new additions this season. It seems like they're so far gone from their season 1, the 0-40 Dragons, right? And then everyone last year was like happy they won like a little bit. They win stage 3, and now it's a completely different mindset. Now it's like, oh well, this team may be one of the best in the league.
And I have to agree with production. They obviously showed us that clip of Fleta going absolutely mental on the last map of Lijiang Tower. Now, if I had recalled it in the moment, that probably would have been my crunch time. But my analyst, Matthew Morello, literally told me to come up with it. I was going to talk about my shirt, but obviously Fleta, though, on that first map really saved their bacon by trying to bait out that immortality field.
Mitch is we needed somebody to stand up for the supports, right? Like no bloodthirsty supports. So Mitch is the one who's going to take that on.
Okay, you know what? We're going to a break. When we come back, we're going to get the rest of this match, Shanghai versus Guangzhou. Oh dear, I might walk across the hall and leave something nasty under Matt's door. But we'll be back with more Overwatch right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Hey, Mama. Just making sure you're getting your exercise.
Of course I am. We have Quibi included in our T-Mobile plan.
How does that help you exercise?
I walk into the kitchen and watch Chrissy Teigen.
Okay.
Later, I rush upstairs to watch Idris Elba.
Mama, it's only exercise if you get your heart rate up.
Ooh, that Idris Elba gets my heart rate way up.
Watch quick bite shows from today's biggest stars. Now when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Shanghai Dragons once more look like they're taking the Charge to task now. Up 2-0 after the half-time, and the Charge might only have one more chance to bring this one back. I know it feels like Groundhog Day for them. I'm quite sure of it, but this is, again, signs of consistent strength from Shanghai ahead of their fated matchup with the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, and I think if you're Guangzhou, there's nothing to, even if you lose this to Shanghai, there's nothing to really be upset about. It does not, I think, obviously you'd love to win the match, but this is one of the best teams in the league, and you've taken them to the brink pretty much on both maps, right? You're very close to, you said a really good point A. Your point B doesn't really go anywhere, but on offense, but still, you're winning fights consistently in certain situations. It's just a few certain scenarios where Shanghai just turns into what we believe Shanghai to be, which is one of the top 3 to 4 best teams in the league.
I mean, if you're Guangzhou as well, probably another reason why you're not complaining too much is you probably feel like you are in a great position right now to get very good experience against, you know, those teams that you one day want to beat. It's like being in the hyperbolic time chamber, the perfect training montage for this team to go up against, you know, I mean, New York's now in this region, Vancouver, I mean, well, yeah, we'll see if they still turn up, but the Dragons and the Dynasty all here, and the Charge get the trade blows with them over the next few weeks.
How many teams can you certainly say are better than Guangzhou in this region? Seoul, Shanghai, throw maybe New York in there. We'll see how they play against Chengdu.
We're not certain. I haven't played in weeks.
Right. So at worst, you're like, what, maybe like 4th, right, in what we consider to be one of the toughest division in the Overwatch League. And potentially, depending on how New York and Vancouver turn out, right, you could be like that 3rd dog, so to speak.
3rd dog. Is that just better to be the higher dog, so you want to be 1st dog?
Yeah, like top dog, you know? Okay. You're not the top dog, you're the 3rd dog.
No, that makes sense. I don't know where I was going with that one. And also the Charge, they have a player like Happy on this team, Matt, who Yeah, I mean, here's a stat that may actually be relevant, right? Across in team fights, across all team fights, all hero pools, he is 3rd in final blows per 10 and 3rd in first elimination rate. So this guy is aggressive. He's looking for first kills on a lot of these fights, regardless of the patch, the hero that he's on. Guangzhou have this real aggression. They just don't want to get, they don't want Shanghai to bait them in here. Both of these teams want to start fights. They want to set the pace. And it's like an arm wrestle to see who actually gets to decide when sparks fly.
It's so interesting. You don't have any of your famous one-liners at night. Did your writer not wake up today?
Oh, no, I was using him. You just didn't hear them on Li Zhang Tower.
It just seems like now you've just kind of gone off to the stats end as your writer's kind of taking the night off. We'll see what he
help
can...
me tell a story.
Yeah,
like I'm building.
We'll see what he can come up with.
You missed him. I've done
tons.
I'll have more tonight. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm up to the challenge. No drama.
It's
DM. Not today.
This is where they look great, though, Shanghai. Like if you're Guangzhou, what was working was you're playing a little bit wacky stuff, and Shanghai was like, oh yeah, we'll play the Pharah and we'll play the Sombra and stuff. This is where they've been great. Is Alicia just going all the way up to the high ground there.
Alicia got best laid plans get away sometimes. He wanted to be the one that knocked the Guangzhou Charge down, but they actually opted to bring the fight to the Dragons here, see if they can shake them off. And that looks pretty darn good. Matt Nero found the Lucio and froze him in his tracks.
It's like Li Jiagan's just playing like one of those wrestling games with everybody else is just fighting in the ring, and he's constantly going to the top of the cage over and over. And he's like, somebody come fight me.
He just wants to give him the aerial
check. He's like, he's like, watch this, guys. And he's just like going all the way up.
Li Jiagan, we haven't allowed the tombstone for years. I don't know. Bringing it back, boys. Watch me drop in. Top rope, still an option for Jagon, but his team control the high ground for the most part. Krong trying to maintain some presence there, but DM's thrown flashbang seems to give him other things to worry about now. So, what does the McCree do from here? Again, target selection is good. It's so funny.
Shu is so dead.
It's just not going to happen. DM finds the pixel that he needed and finds the second one. And this is what happens, man, when you're playing with that Lucio here. Your Batiste copped the chunking. He obviously didn't have his AoE heal available. The Charge is still able to trade out. They finally get towards DM on the high ground. Krong is really doing some heavy lifting. Somehow the Charge stayed this off after losing 2 players early from that high ground.
Yeah, I mean, Krong was phenomenal in that fight. And same with Nero, right? He puts a beautiful May wall up there to keep himself alive. He's able to ice block, then come out of it. But just the presence of that May, right? You never know if he's going to put his own wall down, come around the corner, start fighting, brawling it out. So, beautiful play there from the Charge to get a first hold on D. See that they're trying to rotate in through the house. This is going to get
that wall in trouble. Technically, Red's not fully caught. That sound barrier actually works out quite nicely. Now the Blizzard pouring him on the Charge. Great time from Nero when he can play from the high ground for a little bit. Immortality field down for Shu, but Happy and Nero have been working this high ground nicely, and they slowed the Dragons down enough while keeping the run-up alive, and that shadow was completely blocked. Shu actually was just off to the left side, got caught by it, but Amplification, Matrix, and Fire Strike, not the real way the Dragons wanted that fight to end.
No, and Stand 1 goes for the Shatter there, because when the Matrix goes down, he expects potentially like a quick Fire Strike to come through from Rio, but Rio reads it perfectly, knows that the Shatter comes down, he holds it, because if he goes for the Fire Strike there, that's a big Shatter. Guangzhou's taken control of the high ground now. Minute 13 on the clock. So the card has not made much progress at all. It's been very strong here from Guangzhou.
This reminds me of Philadelphia Fusion last year. They played obviously that sort of high ground composition. Now they centered around Winston, but the concept is the same, right? Push into the Dragons when they try and take the high ground, try and catch them while they're still coming up the stairs. The Charge haven't been able to do that this time around, and Happy from the high ground though was able to get rid of DM. She's sitting in the periphery there. Treaded out. There's going to be the Shatter comes through now. Fledder knocked down. Charge still have good formation here, and Rio's healthy enough for them to push onto this a little bit more. Boyd goes for the Gravitic Flux here. They're trying to follow this up maybe with the Nano Boosted Reinhardt. Shu's Immortality field is down. Boyd is pushing ahead. He's looking for something.
Yeah, what they thought they could do is force out a support ultimate with that Gravitic Flux, but they didn't get it. So now they're going to go in with an Earth Shatter Nano Boost. Stand 1 going all the way around.
That's huge. Krong and Shara got hit by that one as well. They were both shattered to the ground. Stand 1 eventually gets caught as he tries to push through. The Dragons are only down 1 player now, and they have a Blizzard to work with, so this gets a little bit tricky. Keep an eye on where Krong is positioned right now. Keeping that mech up and healthy is paramount. They throw the wall up, it's going to let them get very close. Flatter drops it in behind the wall, that's exactly what the Dragons were looking for. Immortality field is down now, Sound Barrier had to be used, but it's not going to be enough to keep Rio alive, and now it'll be the Blizzard from Nero. Can they turn this around? Fleta has gone down, but his job has already essentially been done. Now DM can step up, try and take the mantle away from the May, and he's done a good job so far. A lot of damage pressure towards the charge here. Void down to Krong. DM trying to play around the Reinhardt. This will be an instant flash and a kill on Nero, who won't get away. Stand 1 can push up here. Still a healthy Reinhardt in his way. Rio is convinced he needs to hold this ground for as long as he can. Immortality Field gives Rio an extra free swing. Fleta, Stand 1 and down to the charge. Somehow going to break back into this. Are you kidding me? Oh my! The Dragons. It was a good blizzard. And the McCree there was there for the follow-up, but the charge, hang on.
Yeah, it was the real difference maker there towards the end is the Amp Matrix from Shu. He comes back on that Baptiste, has the ultimate, puts it down, just the extra damage. After the sound barrier comes through, there's nothing that the Shanghai Dragons have to keep them alive through that.
That is, so brutal for the Dragons. They were close. They expected to have had that point locked up with the May wall coming up, the Blizzard thrown in behind it, and you'd expect that to be the case. Clever Chara, he goes for the sound barrier, realizing while it might not keep his Reinhardt alive, it may give the rest of his teammates enough time to regroup. That was incredible. Much better from the Guangzhou Charge. Shanghai, to be fair, looked a little bit shaky. Once Happy managed to sneak up on that high ground or get control of it, the Dragons spent so many of the resources, Matt, trying to force them off. Jagon constantly right-clicking, but now they go with the Farah Mercy on defense here.
And this is when Happy has been able to play like whether it be Widowmaker, McCree, able to get pickoffs here against Fleta pretty consistently. So if you're a Shanghai fan, this is probably not the look you wanted to see from them.
Well, I'll put it this way, Matt. Fleta on May had less damage done than the Jagon on Lucio in that last round. Obviously, May's not a big damage dealer. We're not expecting that much from her, but Fleta struggled to capitalize a lot. Tough to get icicles as well. His sight lines were pretty well cut off, but Nero, on the other hand, was able to have 5 final blows. Big impact for the charge here. So keep an eye on that, but Fleta now gets to switch to something that's ostensibly much more his speed.
Yes, we'll see what Guangzhou decides to do, though. This will be a McCree switch here from Happy, so they do have the advantage on the ground, right? If they can just neutralize Fleta and just put some shots in him, then just kind of run down the Shanghai Dragons. They have the advantage with the McCree and the May in that type of situation.
Fleta has to be determined not to get a little bit trigger happy like he did on Volskaya and give it all away. Now that way I would recover from that on Volskaya. But if he makes a mistake here, that's going to be the map over to the charge, and the clean sheet against Guangzhou will be done. Fleta, Krong pushing into him there. Happy trying to get the flash over the Reinhardt shield, and oh dear, Stand 1 has to be an immortality field for the charge, but they'll take it. Fleta gets rid of it. Stand 1 somehow gets away with that. I don't understand. The charge unable to push into him, even with the Baptiste immortality thrown out. Now Fleta's trying to play from an off angle, and this is actually a really nice spot from him. Stand 1 has gone down, so Fleta really needs to connect these rockets. Krong can't get close enough to put a scratch on it.
Yeah, and they have enough damage here to be able to sustain through this. As you see Chara, he's going to have to back up. You lose a few players there for Guangzhou. Now DM takes out Shu towards the end, so you'll have to back up here if you're Guangzhou. Now Fleta has some better angles here to take. I believe he forced out Ice Block there, potentially out of Nero, as Nero gets chunked down to about half HP. Big Guangzhou moving inside, trying to figure out what angle they want to take here.
Krong has to basically go up to the high ground to give himself, to get him close enough to Fleta. So only one use of rocket boost has to be used so he can get up there and mess with him. Fleta has to be careful as well. A barrage here might actually end up costing him his life, so he needs to be really careful about it. Trying to get position nano boost. Alright, this is pretty telegraphed, so Fleta would be wise for him to hold on to this right now, and he does. He's just going to go for the normal rockets. Happy. Well, years later, archaeologists discovered his earlobe.
He was going to go for the barrage there, but he messed up his conk. Like, he went to go concussion himself out, like really fast over the top of the Guangzhou Charge, and he actually like leaves the edge a little bit too early, and the conk actually doesn't do anything, so he's not able to get any type of momentum going that way, so then he decides not to use it.
He lost a bunch of altitude there as well, but I also don't mind that. Like, what, if you can force out a sound barrier or something similar by just getting nanoed and then not using your barrage, I know, like, objectively your barrage is much better with that ultimate, but still. Can he force out? Chara. Oh! Yep, Krong stepped away from him there. I guess he had other things to attend to. Maybe he was worried about Fleta, but while he was busy trying to keep tabs on the Farah, the Lucio gets picked off by the Deadeye and the Charge.
You can already see how this is going to go, man. Like,
no. Don't say it ain't so, Matt. Like, Matthew Reginald, I refuse to believe this.
Guangzhou's holding on to all these ultimates, right? And even if they win this fight, we're most likely at a scenario where the cart's not going to make it the distance, where Shanghai will get another attempt. And at that moment, like if this fight drags on a little bit, Shanghai will have some ultimates coming into that fight. Guangzhou can't invest everything here. They need to hold on to some ultimates to get them over the line.
It doesn't get any better than this for the Guangzhou Charge.
Dude, I mean, this is Nero dies there. I mean, they're in trouble.
You had to use Ice Block early, so Fleta is going to keep the pressure on.
Why going into this? You don't have any angle on Fleta here for the McCree. It's bad for the Diva.
They're trying to set Happy up. They're trying to get Happy in a decent position to do some work. He's looking for Fleta. Void defense matrix. Fleta out line of sight. The stun comes into Happy. That was supposed to be the playmaking action of the fight, and Happy gets absolutely smushed. Fleta rains it on down. Solar Shadow on Diem in the backline. Stand 1 tries to charge in to interrupt, and there was at least a May wall there, but again, all eyes turn towards Diem, and Fleta is continuing to do the work. No one watched Season 1 of the Overwatch League. Hello? Which these guys want to watch Apex, man. This is... Oh, God. Fleta is in control now. Self-destruct will be shielded, and that'll be at 3-0 for the Shanghai Dragons. And it seems as if the closer that Guangzhou are to the goal, the harder it is, Matt, for them to capitalize.
Oh, that is a brutal way to lose there for Guangzhou. They played strong, right? They get a fantastic hold on defense, but their offense, I mean, non-existent. Like, when you get down to the wire and your best option against a Pharah who's hovering above the choke point, shooting rockets down, is to nano boost your McCree, speed boost him in, and then turn around to try and get the Pharah, you're not in a good spot.
I mean, some incredible plays from the Dragons, and you're all now being reminded why they are, in fact, considered the real deal. I mean, Fleta looked incredible across this series, especially at key moments, but I have to say, for consistency, Li Jaegon is going to be our player of the match here, Matthew. It looked fantastic. His brig is, I mean, it is hard to make it work as brig. Like, anyone who tries to play her in ranked without practicing her would know that it is very difficult. If your shield's gone, you're in deep trouble. Played that really cleanly. You wouldn't know because you don't even know that she exists. But crucially, when it came to the Lucio play, controlling that high ground and making sure Fleta was not under threat from Happy on that last map there in Rialto, I mean, really fantastic performance across the board.
I mean, the Lucio and the Brig, right, with a lot of the displacement, the Mercy pick there towards the end, really strong on defense. I don't even know if he dies there for Shanghai. He was a huge difference maker today for the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, Shanghai again. Now they've really set up an epic encounter against the Seoul Dynasty. That one, if you're in the US, you have to stay up for that one. It could be, I mean, arguably our 2 best teams in the league now.
Without doubt, yeah.
Obviously, teams like Philly and stuff are showing up over here, but it's the strength of competition that these guys have and the strength of schedule to go against. I would definitely expect that one to be absolutely massive. Great to see the Seoul Dynasty back in the mix. But another team, Matt, who I am very excited to welcome back into league play is the NYXL.
Oh, yeah.
They're going up against the Chengdu Hunters right after this break. Now, these 2 teams have only ever played once before. And it was the first time that New York were handed a 4-0 loss. So a little bit of, animosity there perhaps, but NYXL,
it's been a bit.
We need to see how they're shaped up. Of course, the result doesn't matter, but it's just a fun little bit of flavor to throw in. So stick around, guys. New York are back up against Chengdu right after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows and the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League for our last match, at least, of this block of our broadcast, and it is... it's an exciting one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
One of my favorite things, Matt, in the league is to check back in on matchups that we just haven't seen in quite a while. This is one of them. It has been, I want to say, almost a year, maybe a little bit under a year, since the NYXL and the Chengdu Hunters have got to play against each other, and the rematch, it's back.
It's also, I was going to say, I was like, you can't say it's the last match of the day, because, well, that would not be true. As
Now, what I've learned since being up at 3:30 a.m. is that day and night are both extremely relative terms. Yep. This has all turned me, Matt, into much more of a global citizen, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity also to catch this match, because last time these guys played, Matt, we had that narrative, I think last year especially, that, opting into the Clown Fiesta against Chengdu or trying to play the same pace, the same aggressive style. New York got swept up in that kind of game and were beaten handily by Chengdu in that way. Similar to how Chengdu managed to squeeze out that win against the Vancouver Titans earlier on that season. So the Hunters had this tendency of being able to really mess up game plans for a lot of our more regimented teams. And New York were considered to be a very defensive, very stable team.
I think regardless of that, this is a little bit of a trap game for New York. New York comes in, obviously, clearly a fantastic team. One of the best ones in the league still, I believe, regardless of the strength of schedule they played this far. With New York, though, like, you haven't played in a while. right? The lineup, though, you can see it pretty consistent, though, game to game. Nothing really too surprising. They haven't played in a while. And you play against the Hunters.
Week 5 in Washington?
Yeah, and you play against the Hunters, yeah, which is a really weird matchup coming back into it because they play so odd.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they've had some time away. They look very good in DC. They pretty handily dealt with the Justice. I mean, Saviobi, Libero, Mano, Hotbar, Donut, Animo.
No.
Yeah, we got to see, a couple of players like Bianca and stuff, get to take to the stage, Who Are You as well. So Saviobi, Libero is an interesting combo.
It tells you they want to play May McCree. Instantly right away. I think of May McCree. You can play some Reaper there as well. Farah if you want to.
Libero's Farah is incredible. Saviobi's a very serviceable Reaper player.
Yeah, I would be shocked though if we don't see a ton of May McCree from this team though.
I mean, I've still found it interesting with Nene and Who Are You not showing up. Maybe they get subbed in later on. But here's our Chengdu Hunters lineup. I mean, Jinmu, Leave, Amon, Elsa, Molly, and Evil Talon. I mean, this is their core. I feel. They've looked decently. They look decent so far in this season. I mean, everyone's going to struggle against the Shanghai Dragons in their position. Were they 3 wins and 5 losses? I want to say
Nothing talks to more like Owl late nights than Jinmu. Jinmu should just come in here. He could play Genji for all we know in this series, but he is one of the most.
It's just fan service at this point. Putting him in the roster, isn't it?
He's so exciting, and his mechanical skill is nuts. Like you see him come out on the Genji, and you're like, all right, this guy's trolling. Like what the hell? But like he pops off. Like he's super strong as a mechanical player, and I think Chengdu overall. That's why they're so good when they get teams to opt into the Clown Fiesta, and it seems like, oh my god, it's a little bit of a joke like the way they're playing. But it's because they're all so talented individually, right? Where if they can make it more of an individual-based game, they have an advantage on a lot of other teams.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Leave has looked really good this season. I mean, there was a ton of very high expectations for him coming in. And I mean, we might see him play the McCree, or the Doomfist. I mean, like, Leave has got a pretty diverse pool, but a lot of those hit scan heroes are really locked down there. So between him and Jinmu, you have all your bases covered. And Chengdu are still providing us this exciting style of play this year. They really haven't changed in that regard, thankfully. Our first map is going to be Oasis, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what the NYXL look like now. They're starting to dust off a little bit of that mold after being, sitting around and getting their practice in and not having a chance to play under competitive settings.
And having them now play in the Asia division is probably better for them as a whole. Like, this is a team that I didn't really feel like, outside of probably Philly and Atlanta, we're going to have many challengers in the Atlantic. So now they can move in to this Asian region, and they can play against some of the other top teams in the league, where a lot of them are.
Yeah, that's what we sort of mentioned earlier on. Guangzhou, they're playing amongst giants, some of these absolutely top teams. I mean, this would be very Chengdu if they came out of the gates here with Amon on the wrecking ball. Now, unlikely we see Symmetra brought into the fight here just because there's not a lot of shields for her to benefit from, standing behind or shooting at.
Just a TP forward, probably. You're not going to run the Lucio. So the 76 comes out from Sabiel B. So they want to play a little bit faster, a little bit divier, right? So that'll give the one Soldier 76 instead of 3 in this instance. Obviously, better survivability on the Soldier just alone, right? You see Animo putting some armor packs on it real quick there in case like a dive comes through, but then you can just put down the consistent damage from range.
Yeah, Jinmu has to respect Mano here on that Winston at the back right away here, and Amon,
rolling around.
Is he playing golf with friends or Overwatch right now? Hard to say. He's going to drop down to the point though, but Molly has already been removed by Jonak. And again, Molly has to be careful. No shield for Chengdu to play around. They have to be the aggressors, but if they get slowed up by someone like Sabiobi, for example, getting away from his assailants, Libero able to reposition, Animo just sort of, shield bashing. NYXL's composition is built for a longer fight where they can disengage.
Well, NYXL's composition is also built around a lot of their players on potentially their best heroes overall, right? So I think this could be a good comp for New York. They're able to make it work. As Jinmu gets to the top of the point, getting closer towards a Dragon Blade here.
I mean, he sees these tanks. He only dashes on the Hotbar because he knows he was low and he gets the Dragon Blade out. Hotbar's finished off. He was discorded there. What other targets do I go for? I mean, none of the NYXL players are playing close enough to be vulnerable, and it's just tanks to hit. So Jinmu doesn't even get a blade kill. It was a dash. And Amon goes down to Saviobi. He's able to push around a corner now, and well, that D.Va's not going to do anything to shut down the heavy pulse rifle and Saviorbi will have his day in the sun. And this really suits him, I feel. Self-sufficient, Soldier 76, really great over time. You know, if you don't deal with him, he's just going to burn you down. You can't chase him down with Jinmu. You can't chase him down with Amon. He's going to run away on his granddaddy legs.
You think of some of the best heroes that he plays, right? Like Tracer, 76, McCree, Widow. You think way back when he played like Roadhog, right? Like, you expect him to just pull down 76 and be strong. That's an EMP up on the high ground. As Mono's going to pop Primal Rage here. Try and keep the point going in NYXL's favor. EMP used by Chengdu. 2 kills come out of it from New York. Unreal.
And they committed so hard to try and get rid of Jonak here. And I mean, to try and follow that up, Mano's able to pop Primal Rage in the perfect location. Savior even Tac Visor. I mean, why not? If you've got to use it at that point. The Hunters are fighting so hard, Matt, to get just 3 kills. They've only got 3 kills so far. All of them have been Jinmu, who's been able to get in there and actually find those final blows.
This is not looking good for the Hunters thus far. 95% for NYXL. Aiming, get on the point, roll around.
Yeah, no changes to their composition here. They want to try and maintain some of this old economy. Dragon Blade might have to be the option here. They really don't have much else to work with. They do catch Libero out here. That was pretty clean. Animo down now, and the Hunters actually have a little bit of room to work with. Amon has to be careful. No Saviorbi's there already. Has a Discord orb on him. Jonak was able to find a kill. The NYXL couldn't see the point quite happy here. They say, okay, Chong, if you, I mean, we can allow you to take the point. Stalling doesn't give them any advantage. They're only going to commit if they think they can actually win the fight. They'll let it go.
Yep, NYXL, they'll back out after that fight, but that's okay though, because look, they're going to come back into the next fight. They're going to end up with a Transcendence. Libero's going to end up with an EMP. You get a good use of that, right? Negates Jinmu's Dragon Blade, Molly's Transcendence. You have nothing to use here for the Hunters.
Sabi will be so pleased right now. No shields for him to worry about, and Libero was constantly hacking Elsa just to get easy ult charge and also to make it, well, easier for Jonak and Sabi to find their marks here. So NYXL still managed to find a defensive play style in amongst the mix of different hero pools we have week to week. Elsa's very low now. Amon's here with a Discord orb, so we'll have to play out of line of sight. And so with the front line a little bit lacking in health, the Hunters have to give some space. This might allow Lee to come in from the backside here. He's looking for Jonak, who already goes for the Transcendence here. And amongst that healing, they're able to find Amon. Lee's going to have to back away now. He'll probably have to throw an EMP in here. He's got no other choice to try and stay in the round. And he got Jonak and Saviorbi. Jinmu has to try and follow up now with the Dragon Blade. He does just that. Both supports are down. I think Chengdu will be happy enough with that one. They had to use those ults, Matt, but it pays off, at least in part.
Yeah, I mean, they have to, right? I mean, you have to invest here to the Chengdu Hunters. Is maybe New York's able to turn this. Libero with the EMP.
Oh, and Saviorbi gets Jinmu as he runs around the side. That is actually disgusting. Hotbar keeps the 76 alive, and Saviorbi turns around and bangerangs a Helix rocket into the Genji. Jinmu's molding. He's going to switch over to Doomfist appropriately. And Saviorbi's going to sit on the point now, 99%. The Hunters have to run up this one. Unbelievable D.Va player from Hotbar in that moment. Amon shield fast as soon as he touches the point. He's hit with a Discord orb. He does get good adaptive shielding, so there will be some stalls, but Jinmu doesn't get very far in this fight at all.
How long do you keep this going for, though? I mean, it is not going to last.
That is demoralizing what we just saw there. The fact that Savior was able to stay alive. Hotbar got 2 kills, then kept his soldier. That's so wrong. Oh my god.
Chengdu, it looked like they were going to bring it back, and obviously they didn't. So New York just comes out with some sick wizard-like plays. So okay, so now maybe
I'm shaking in the club right now.
Now maybe.
Oh my god.
You shouldn't be in a club right now. You should be in your home. Stay home. No clubs.
What do you mean?
It's New York.
Listen, Matt, when we're doing this late night show, we can have the club wherever we want.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Somebody got bored, so they had to play with their toys.
NYXL. I'm not bored. I'm not bored by this match at all.
You know, it was a joke. But maybe with the way I present my jokes, people wouldn't know.
You
didn't even let me go on what I was going to talk about. So now,
you go.
Now we get to see what Chengdu looks like in a slower type of composition, right? Where this is where New York excels. I'm interested to see how Chengdu's just developed overall as a team. If they've been able to make this type of playstyle work. When you can play a little bit slower, you have to play into these mirrors.
Jonak down early here. Also was able to push his way on that left-hand side here. And I mean, yeah, Sigma's going to do a heck of a lot for you in those enclosed quarters. Chengdu get the fight that they wanted by starting off quickly and pushing through, and Jonak didn't really have the mobility to get out.
Yes, Chengdu gets a really clean fight win there early on. You know, nobody builds up to ultimates to use in that first fight. Molly will have the M Matrix as next one, but I think Chengdu should be able to hold on to this point for at least one more fight with that big M Matrix.
Let's see if anyone can find some value with it. Fire strike through that. Rather pleasant. And the May as well. I mean, it feels pretty good for Chengdu. Make it hard for NYXL. They have to go together if they get their right quarter. What? What? Mano just barrows forward and gets rid of Jinmu. I don't think the Hunters were ready for that kind of burst. The Nano Boost hadn't even been used at that point. And I thought that they were just going to wall Mano off and get rid of him. That did not go the way that I thought it would. Mano's able to chase Elsa away from the fight, and now Chengdu are staggering themselves. They get some stall, but
yeah.
What is this? This series already makes no sense.
That was a fight that Chengdu, I mean, they should have been able to win. They win the first one, they have ultimates coming into that one, and they just beat it. So, there you go. Mano swings into the face of Jinmu. Now the tides have turned, and YXL with a big advantage here. You'll end up with Sound Barrier, Gravitic Flux. I mean, you got everything to use here, and I think that's the difference, right? It's like Chengdu, yeah, they can win the fights like when we do that mirror, but like sometimes they just they leave these fights that they should easily win.
And this is a perfect place for New York to take this fight. Deadeye forces them to the left side, and that is all Libero needs to just drop a blizzard on them.
That's what it should have looked like from Chengdu's perspective, but they had the advantage, right? They have a big advantage. In terms of ultimates, after that first fight, New York had none. Chengdu had the M Matrix. You could have got aggressive behind that, and they just they don't do anything.
The fact that Mano gets away with just diving into 6 people, flailing about that's absurd. Well, the Hunters at least have 5 ultimates here for this next fight, and they've got some time to burn. So Gravitic Flux leads behind a Reinhardt shield, so pretty comfortable here. Mano already taken down early, so Flux is traded. So everybody gives a Flux. That's good to see at this time of night. Evil Tile going to play around the backside. They broke down. So Hunter's happy with that fight, but they spend 3 ultimates to get it here. New York probably had a feeling it would have gone that way.
Yeah, once the fight kicks off and you invest some of those ultimates and you lose one player, you kind of feel like it's going to go one way. Mono won't be able to get out of this one. He ends up getting caught on the wrong side of a May wall, but okay, well, Libero takes out leaves. Come on, let's not do this, Chengdu. Yep, back it on up. Good idea here, Chengdu. So they backed it up to the point. They know that NYXL has to wait for their Reinhardt. They can create more distance backing up here to the point and take a fight here.
Maywall gonna make it hard for Jinmu. He has to ice block immediately there, otherwise he would have been in a 1v6 essentially. And that goes so badly for Chengdu. I mean, they get caught out there. They're supposed to be in a position, Matt, as the people holding the point, to be able to use the Maywall to segment the attackers. But New York just does it to them. They see that they're posted up to the left side, presumably to try and get value out of the Sigma, and they cut them in half with the Maywall.
Yeah, Jinmu, I mean, I don't know what he's doing off there on the side. I mean, there's even if he Maywalls a player off, like his team is so far away, Eviltal would have to speed boost them directly at that wall, and then the NYXL would have just followed that right up, as that's going to be a sleeper there. On a one, nice flash there from Sigma. He's going to get out with his life. Mono's just in there with the Nano Boost, swinging for the fences.
Every sweaty, overstimulated McCree-mater ranked wincing at that double flash moment there. Mono still went for the shatter, hoping perhaps that he could set something up for the rest of his team. Savior using those A and D keys pretty nicely. He's able to avoid getting taken down. Molly desperately trying to riddle him with bullets, but no, the NYXL are going to take map number 1 in this series. And mate, we start our narrative talking about New York being slow and stable, but mate, when they want to play aggressive, when Mano wants to crowd surf on Chengdu, it works out for them still somehow.
I'm sure they would have loved to not play aggressive, but you're kind of forced into it when Chengdu's just kind of charging you down. I mean, there's not really much else you can do. You have to kind of match that aggression and take control of those choke points. So
I love, but
I feel like though that's something that when they added Hotba in the offseason, right? They kind of changed a little bit with having Meko more defensive Diva player. Hotba is kind of all over the place, right? So they added that little piece to their game and their lineup, bringing him in.
I love that round 1 composition. The Sombra and the Soldier 76 look really good. A great way to try and use Chengdu's aggression to force them out of position. We got more maps to come. Don't worry about that one. Chengdu Hunters again. They're going to try and contain their rage after dropping 1 to NYXL. We'll see if they can bring it back. Map number 2 is right around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, Mama. Just making sure you're getting your exercise.
Of course I am. We have Quibi included in our T-Mobile plan.
How does that help you exercise?
I walk into the kitchen and watch Chrissy Teigen.
Okay.
Later, I rush upstairs to watch Idris Elba.
Mama, it's only exercise if you get your heart rate up.
Ooh, that Idris Elba gets my heart rate way up.
Watch quick bite shows from today's biggest stars. Now when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory.
Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are still here. We are here for this matchup. NYXL Chengdu Hunters has already shown us some very exciting plays. And you know what I love about Chengdu, Matt?
What do you love about Chengdu?
You know, just like the sun rises every day, just like Wolf loves to call people out for forgetting to mention someone's Apex results, they always play by the seat of their pants, no matter what day of the week it is, no matter what region they're playing in. They always show us this exciting play. It is blown up in their faces as many times as not. But it helps to keep series like this exciting, and a team like New York has to be on their guard against this.
Yeah, I feel like Chengdu, you know the type of play style they want to play. They want to play wacky. They want to play aggressive. It's just, I think teams, from week to week, I think with hero pools, teams are going to figure it out, right? Or teams are going to know how to play it one way or another, where Chengdu, they just seem to commit to it, right? They're just going to roll with it and see what happens, where sometimes they're going to get beat.
My rider's riding your one-liners, I see. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, he came over to the good side. So
I lost the bidding war.
Yep. We know. I mean, look, if it's me and you bidding, I'm going to win the bidding war. But NYXL.
That's because you have $1 in your account for every time you say "like" in one sentence, bro.
Hey, I'd have a ton. I have a ton of dollars then. So NYXL looks good there in the first half. I think some people were worried about how they would potentially look coming off of a break, going into a tougher division. I thought they looked great, and I think having the tougher division is probably something that's going to help this team. They can't just look at the schedule and see, Boston and Toronto or Boston and Washington and be like, all right, hey, anyone want to play today? Like, all right, fine. Like,
well, I guess we're off to work today, boys.
They have tough games every week now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the way that they like it, Matt, as well. You know, what New York's always been like, how hard they are on themselves. It's not only the caliber of the teams they're going against, it's actually how diverse our play styles are across their potential opponents that they go up against here. Shout out to the coaching staff as well. It looks like what they've come up for this particular hero pool really not only suits them, but works very effectively against what Chengdu are going to try and do, which is to jump on you. They're trying to access backlines, and it's impossible to do that with the composition that we saw there. The Brigitte, the Soldier 76er Sombra. I'd love to see it. Paris is our map too.
Yeah, let's see. Anything can happen on Paris, right? I think this is one of the wackier maps we have in the pool. It's just kind of all over the place in terms of results. So if there's one where Chengdu could potentially like squeak out a win, I think it could be on this one.
We'll see. NYXL, she's still on the attacking side here, so I'm curious. Can Chengdu just, you know, play back? Actually, we have subs after the break, man, which we didn't get a chance to mention. So Bacon Jack and 18 Later also comes in here. So a bit of a mix-up for the Hunters.
Yeah, and for NYXL, you have Who Are You coming in. So if Who Are You coming in for NYXL, maybe that's because they want to play a little bit more aggressive on offense. You could play like a Doomfist, let's say. So, seems to be what he's hovering now. Is yeah, you can just play an aggressive dive here, and this is smart from New York, because when you see Chengdu come in with a sub of Bacon Jack, you know it's probably to play some type of hit scan, and then also with 18 coming into the lineup, you know it's going to be more Reinhardt based, right? So you can play dive, and you know exactly what you're playing into if you're the NYXL.
All right, yeah, different look for the Chengdu Hunters there, at least in this particular round. And Libero on the Symmetra now. It's not just for the fighting potential. Getting past this choke is just so important. I don't think NYXL realized there was someone behind them actually playing close off to the side, but they speed in fast enough that Elsa's not actually able to really chunk them down quickly. Now he's in the high ground though. New York had no idea what they were walking into, and that is kind of what using a Symmetra TP forward can do against you sometimes. You actually just walk into a field of view that you have no information on. And the position they had Elsa there playing on the flank was, I mean, they had no chance of dealing with that.
But this is what I thought they would play. They would play something extremely aggressive, something built around a dive, where you know that this is what's going to be on the other side for Chengdu. So now you play Genji Doom with a Winston with a Wrecking Ball. So typically both of these tanks played as main tanks, but play together pretty dangerous, right? You know, the Wrecking Ball goes in, gets a big slam, the Winston can follow it up with so much cleave damage. You do lose Animo here at the start, which is a bit dangerous, but you still have Jonak, so you're not really that worried.
Well, I mean, you are worried to try to take the point.
Yeah, you're worried now.
You're probably not pleased about not having a Lucio to get you across the no-man's land.
Okay, fine. If you play within the line of sight of Jonak, you're not really that worried. But when everybody makes it by and Jonak is stuck over in the corner, you're obviously not able to get any type of heals out of him. He's still alive here, and they're fighting.
That is a gigantic shatter. 3 players. There is 18, brings the hammer down.
You need Shatter and Amp Matrix to win that, though. It was Ana in the corner. You had a Mei wall to split off the other team.
Well, not to mention the fact that there's no shields to prevent you from really getting shatters.
Players jump over the top of the Mei wall, and you would think it was like a 6v6 fight that broke out. They pop the Amp Matrix and the Shatter. You didn't exactly need those.
Okay, that Mei wall was really quite effective there from Chengdu. That
forces all their
you to go around.
Here. I mean, that's going to be Blizzard and Deadeye there. So that's, that's almost all of their ultimates used instantly, and New York hasn't used it once.
But New York also, I mean, what's ridiculous about this is Chengdu maybe didn't realize that they'd actually prevented New York from making a proper push there. They split them in half, so they used their ultimates on what is apparently only half of the NYXL team. But unfortunately, they're not able to get kills from that either.
But now Chengdu's put themselves in a horrific position. You have just Blizzard, and NYXL's going to come in with, what, 5 ultimates here in this next fight? I mean, it's a horrible position. And the fight that you end up using the most ultimates in, you don't even end up, like, you win the one where you shatter.
You don't get a kill.
Matrix,
you don't get a
use all the other ones, you don't get a kill.
Now, I mean, when we have seen this happen in games before, Matt, the results are pretty bad.
It's an early Blizzard there from Jinbu as well. It's not even on the point.
I mean, we talk about snowballs, Matt. This one, yeah, might not be too different to that one. Now, who are you? Getting 2 there. Dragonblade pretty comfortably through in NYXL. It's a textbook snowball, Matthew. 1 tick already. And you know there'll be plenty more where that came from. I mean, Chengdu invited this. They invited this beast over the threshold into their house and said, hey, rob me for everything I have.
Well, it's also, so it's a product of, well, one, Chengdu just kind of throwing all their ultimates in for no reason. I mean, well, to be fair, they had a reason, but they just followed up on them horrifically. And then also, it's a product of Chengdu's roster, the non-flexibility of some of their players that makes what they're going to run extremely telegraphed. Like, remember last year when they would bring in Yang Xiaolong, you knew it was going to be hit scan in some form. When they bring in Bacon Jack, you know it's going to be hit scan in some form. So that's where NYXL can make adjustments, and they can come out with a lineup like this, where, let's say if they had to run hit scan, you can still have Libero play like McCree or something, right? Like he can pick it up. Where
this is
Chengdu,
that age-old argument about specialists.
It's very readable what's going to happen here.
NYXL. And I wonder as well, to be fair, they have been in Asia for a little bit now, so there's also the question, like, are these guys scrim partners? You know, because, like, speaking to a lot of teams when they were in the Blizzard Arena last year, like, they could just rattle you off. They could guess what teams are going to be playing in different metas just because they understand each other's tendencies as players. And Chengdu, I mean, they always like, they like to make these wholesale substitutions, man. In fairness, they usually make sure that there's a projectile and a hit scan player in there. But I agree with you. When New York have so much to work with, who are you and Libero? Both are not they're designated as projectile players, the two of them, in general, right? That designation doesn't really hold in some situations, but New York have a bunch of jacks of all trades, and they have some kings of certain trades as well.
And if you're New York and they want to come out and they want to match you and play this similar type of game, you're totally okay with that.
Well, here we go. The Hunters, well, they get through their first choke without the Symmetra, mind you. 18 does take a ton of damage to his shield, and Elsa's caught out. So we'll keep you updated on that situation here. Hunters are now split 3 different ways. Now, Elsa's actually trying to use this to his advantage by playing a loose end, but he just got slapped.
What a sleep card, man.
He just gave him the pimp hand from across the map, Matt. That is, I mean, you hate to see it.
Also, I mean, Elsa's playing off to the side with no shield, no teammates. You know, all his teammates are playing on the other side. He was going to get jumped on, whether the sleep dart landed or not. Like, they were going to wall that off and jump down. But Bacon Jack on the flank, he'll get cleaned up. So Chengdu, you lose everybody. NYXL loses mono, but he'll be right back. And NYXL, they build up a good percentage of some of these ultimates, right? You have a nano boost here, potentially either using it onto mono to keep him alive. You could even use it on the Animo if you want, a nano the Greek. I hate that in the close quarter type of situation if they push on that left side. See, they earn the rally out of it as well.
I don't hate it. This time Elsa is going to opt to play with the rest of his team. Mabel thrown up there. Oh my, it's a 4-player fighting grenade now. Immortality People's throw down, so NYXL checked themselves before they went in and wrecked themselves. They just waited for that to be down, and I mean, yeah, that's what an Ana like Dorado can do for you. That is absurd.
But look, I mean, that's the difference between these two teams. For Chengdu to win that type of fight, they used Shatter and Amp Matrix in the last time. And New York could have easily come in and just, you know, everybody popped Q, right? They could have nanoed mono and he could have jumped down and shattered. It's just not necessary for the situation. And having that extra ultimate is going to be huge.
Well, we talked about a snowball on the attacking side. Maybe the NYXL can ride a bit of a wave on the defensive side here. Libero Deadeye doesn't really seem to bother Chengdu at all. Wall thrown up. Mono, I mean, this is exactly where he wants to be. Fire Strike in, Nano Boost. Now, that Blizzard is going to make it hard for him to get back to the point. It does effectively split the NYXL, but Hopper gets a pretty sizable Gravitic Flux here to catch 2 players with Chengdu. Now, he's in the same spot that Elsa was when he was defending, and that's where you want to be. Now, I mean, Mono back on Reinhardt, Matt. I mean, he hasn't, to be fair, he hasn't had to play through some of those hero pools recently when Reinhardt's not been available, so he is... He's not fussed, man. He's back in his wheelhouse and he's loving it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's totally fine with it. As Libero ended up popping the Deadeye there because Lexa uses his Amp Matrix. So he uses the Deadeye to prevent them from... really, it just helps New York kind of get out of the way, right? You don't have a loose deal. You can use the Deadeye and just kind of moves the players around. They don't want to play into that. New York now gets aggressive as Who Are You gets caught.
Yeah, Immortality Field thrown down there, but the Blizzard comes after the fact. Mono was a little bit too deep there into the den, but the rest of the NYXL follow up pretty comfortably. And they are using these ultimates, or these AoE effects especially, really well, whether it's a Biotic Grenade or a Shadow or a Blizzard. That's exactly what's expected of them here.
And you know you're in prime position, right? All you have is a Blizzard. Hey, guess what? Let's play our May in close quarters in this really devastating choke and play aggressive around it. Okay, fine. Now you show them a different look. They're never showing them the same type of look on defense.
Well, Matt, time is short for the Pandas, as if they weren't already endangered enough as it is. 15 seconds left. 2 support ults to work with here. Hotbar keeping track of Elsa, trying to make sure he can't wrap around and take high ground and be a nuisance with those hyper spears. Hotbar gets to do that himself. Oh my! That is absurd! Mono That is a big shatter, and that's going to be 4 players caught in the gravitic flux. Now, still, Muddle Liberal have gone down, but Lexer has been removed. It's only going to be Eviltar for the healing, and the NYXL have the staying power. Now, do they have the damage? Accretion thrown in. Elsa's getting bopped around like it's a fighting game. Hopper going to take a step back now. There is a Reinhardt swinging at him. He does need to respect it. Needs to get the kill on the Sigmund, though. Elsa finally drops down. 18 hit with a Bionade, and that should seal the deal. Jinmu gets rocked and socked out of Paris. And the NYXL headed a half-time, Matthew, 2-0.
Now, that was quick. This NYXL looked really good in our first 2 maps against the Chengdu Hunters. Chengdu, we've seen them give a lot of teams trouble in this region. They've beaten the Shanghai Dragons. They've taken maps off of other teams. Obviously, 3 wins for the season. But New York, I mean, they're giving them a beating.
Yeah,
it is a beating.
That is a paddling, Matt. That's what it's been so far. And the NYXL look really comfortable here. Chengdu, this is what happens. This is kind of what we thought would happen last year, as an aside, but it hasn't. They look really, really solid. Chengdu are switching up their roster. They're trying for ostensibly different play styles, but New York are solid enough, Matt, that they can bring... they can try and do what Chengdu did in Map 1, bring Hyo in to play Genji, just to mix up this sort of wacky dive. The Sigma play looks incredibly good, from Hotbar. What an addition he's been. It wasn't even ostensibly an upgrade, in the flex tank spot, considering that it was Meko, but there's so much synergy in this front line. It's fantastic to see. We're going to be back after halftime, ladies and gentlemen, with our game break. We'll choose a crunch time moment, and we'll give you some more info on what we've seen so far. Stick around. We'll be back right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows and the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
Thanks for sticking with us, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Overwatch League, and it's our game break presented by Cheesy Gurus, where we have a chance to take a breath and just sort of evaluate what we've seen so far between the NYXL and the Chengdu Hunters, Matt. It has been an interesting series, one that will definitely inform NYXL's trajectory going forward, especially because they are still looking hot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it's justified, we're wondering about this team. Obviously, they come out of the Atlantic Division now to the Asian region. In the Atlantic, they're beating up on teams, but there's a lot of mediocre to bottom teams in the Atlantic that they were just kind of crushing. So now you move into this region where you have some really strong teams, where even the worst in this region is still pretty respectable, I think, overall in the course of the league. And I think New York, you probably have to know you have to level up your play if you're going to maintain that high standard when you move into the Asian region. And that's what I think are going to show. I think they're going to show that they can hang with the likes of Seoul and Shanghai.
I mean, I don't think there is any team with more expectation than the NYXL, and they've fallen short in some big ways in the past. And, well, one of those times was actually New York's last matchup against the Chengdu Hunters, but it's time now for our crunch time presented by Cheesy Cruise, and we're going to talk about the front line for the NYXL because, Matt, they are crisp to the maximum tonight.
I mean, they've been money, right? I think Mono, one of, if not the best tank in the league. I think it's still arguable, right? He's phenomenal on every tank. And then Hotba, a lot of people were like looking at Hotba as potentially a downgrade from Meko, but I think Meko had up and down results last season. Obviously, a much different season in terms of like goats and everything that went on, but I think Hotba's a very talented player. I mean, you've seen him play a lot of damage dealers in the past, and the Philly Fusion and whatnot. So I don't think it's as big of a downgrade as people think, and I think there's a lot of synergy here with having Hotba in the lineup, and they've looked phenomenal. And also adding Who Are You to this team as well. We've seen him get a lot of play time. It's a super strong team, top to bottom.
I mean, I love the Genji action we got to see from Who Are You as well. Obviously, saw from Jinmil as well, but the Dragon Blade really managed to break things apart. Hotba, really interesting Diva player, Matt. He's the kind of player that actually, snipes a lot of final blows. He's very active at securing kills. He's actually 13th ranked in damage across the whole season of Divas, but tied for second in self-destruct kills, but tied for third in final blows to death ratios. So he's an assassin in his own right. We know Hotba used to play a lot of Tracer. He'd love to play DPS. He's an aggressive player, and it's interesting to see how that translates over towards his Diva and Sigma play. That's been our game break presented by Cheesy Gurus, ladies and gentlemen. When we return, the Chengdu Hunters, they have one more chance to stay afloat in this match against the NYXL, who look out to dominate them here, so stick around. Let's see if the Pandas can hang on.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
At T-Mobile, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. This is entertainment made just for your phone. Breakout shows and the biggest stars. Now, when you Quibi with us, you get Quibi on us. Only at T-Mobile.
I run down the street, right? And all of a sudden, this huge explosion comes in, and it's like, BAM! And this grove chaos is shitting. And it's going, and I'm like,
Download now.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
It has been quite a night for one-sided matches so far here at the Overwatch League to kick off your weekend. And this last match may end up going the same way. The Chengdu Hunters, man, It seems like they're struggling to get a read on what NYXL are going to do.
I don't think it's Chengdu struggling to get a read on what NYXL is going to do. I think it's that Chengdu doesn't get a chance to be creative because of what's going on in terms of hero pools and what they have to do in terms of substitutions. Chengdu's biggest strength is to catch teams off guard and run weird stuff, just cause chaos. When they have to sub players in and out to just get compositions that they think work,
do they have to make these substitutions?
It's readable. I think that would be kind of the point that you need to get to. It's like, okay, well, can we just run one roster? Like, do we feel a little bit weaker in terms of maybe like a head-to-head and like a Rhine with a Sigma type of matchup, and maybe we don't have the best of the world in hit scan, but it gives us the flexibility to do a lot of other things. And that's where Chengdu, the biggest thing that they have is the threat of doing something crazy, being crazy, having some weird strategy that nobody's seen and catching a team off guard. When you have to make in substitutions, and the substitutions are so clear as to the problems that they're trying to solve, you then want to know where the weaknesses are if you're NYXL, and then two, you know what's going to happen. You know what the lineup is, so there's nothing for you to figure out on how to solve. Like right now, right? They come out with the same lineup they had the last map. You know it's going to be Rhine with the Sigma or Diva, and then it's going to be McCree May. If this doesn't work for Chengdu, where do they go from here? All they have is this, right? I mean, they
do you think this is... Sorry. Do you think this is to do with Lengsar and Molly sort of only playing Batiste and Zenyatta respectively? Is it...
I think it's like a combination. You have to bring in a player to play hitscan, a player to play the Baptiste, and then you also have to bring in somebody who plays like Reinhardt and like Winston in certain scenarios. So when you make that many substitutions, you're committing to a comp right there. You wouldn't make those substitutions if you weren't committing to one type of playstyle. So New York, as soon as they see that, they know exactly what to look for the rest of the series.
Wow. Well,
right, okay.
I guess Chengdu are looking for some coffee for Eviltal there. He got completely caught unaware, and I mean, the Hunters have just boomed themselves.
Yeah, I just got a new coffee machine if Eviltal needs some.
Yeah, well, tell him he can come over here once he's allowed. Once they're allowed back into the country, I'm sure he'd take you up on that offer. But Chengdu have that is. What a vulnerability to have on this first point hold, Matt. When we see so many teams struggle with this choke, Chengdu played ahead of the choke, but not right in front of New York spawn. And then a nutty sleep dart just broke them apart.
But they almost picked like one. It's like the worst position they could have taken. Like they didn't fall back to play the choke. They didn't get a fight at the front, so they automatically give up the point.
That is true. They were in between. Well, I mean, to be fair, you can't really count on someone hitting a sleep dart like that onto Eviltar while he's trying to get back around. Now, they
had a Maywall there too,
though.
I mean, it wasn't just a sleep dart. They were going to wall him off and kill him regardless.
Whichever way you slice it, Matt, Chengdu, again, handed over a big defensive milestone to New York with limited resistance.
And you can play that aggressive if the whole team's going to play that aggressive, right? Like, if you're going to play up and take that first fight at basically the corner, you can do that because you're going to get that second fight. But playing so disjointed, you're not going to get that second fight, which really cost Chengdu.
Yeah, they got rolled in that first fight. They haven't found any kills quite
split
yet.
Off really bad. They have to use a Maywall to save it.
I mean, Nano Boost on Mano. Oh, yeah. He just turns around, goes to the shadow. Doesn't even bother looking at Jinmu, who's just twitching on the ground after, he's experiencing some form of seismic shock.
It's not a good position you're in, though, when you have to use a Maywall to save one of your players. Like, they had to drop that Maywall there, so that, because what was going to happen is they didn't drop the Maywall, they were just going to speed boost in Nelson, he was going to be dead. They were going to turn around and clean up everybody else. So they have to use a Maywall there, but you don't even get an opportunity to do what this composition is good at, which is splitting players off. Like,
they're getting picked off, though. They're losing a player early, and it always seems to be critical. Now, that Maywall eventually is brought... Oh, Elsa. Oh, okay. All right. So he gets a little bit from the kinetic grasp, but Hopper actually gets baited in here. That's a turnaround. Hopper still gets rid of Elsa, but that is the only kill that's going to be found. Finally, some signs of life from the Chengdu Hunters. They start a fight where they don't sort of lose a player immediately and actually get to do a bit of what their team wants to, is get an early advantage and push.
Yeah, so let's see now if Chengdu can gain some control here. They win a fight, they stabilize, everything kind of coming back to normal now. See what NYXL does here, though, to force this good use of this blizzard. right? If Chengdu holds the high ground, you have to force them down from the high ground. The advantage for New York is look how close the cart is to completing checkpoint B. Should be able to just rally around the cart, get everybody set up. So this is the Deadeye from Bacon Jack up on the high ground, and then the Blizzard from Jinmu indoors.
That's exactly where he wants to be. New York thought they had the catch there, but they pushed in and made themselves vulnerable.
New York can force them down from the high ground onto the cart here, and that'll be a good position to get a Blizzard, right? You just got to get the cart moving. And Chengdu can't play up here forever, right? You have the double shield. You should be able to just stall this out long enough. Yep, Chengdu has to drop, and here comes the Blizzard. Yep.
That's what Libero wanted now. Decent coverage on the Blizzard. A lot of Chengdu are left on the high ground. For Elsa, he's okay with that for the most part. They get rid of Mano here. He's able to play right behind 18's shield. New York now starting to find things a little bit difficult.
Positive for Chengdu here is that they were comfortable enough and they knew they were going to win the fight to the point that they did not have to invest the sound barrier into that. As potentially you would have thought, like, hey, we have the sound barrier here with the Blizzard. They end up getting the Gravitic Flux up, and as soon as they get that one kill, they know they don't have to commit anything else. So a lot of what went wrong on Paris, they're just kind of throwing ultimates in after nothing. They definitely corrected it there in that fight.
And they have a pretty powerful position here. Play the high ground with the McCree and the Sigma. They look pretty comfortable. And New York identify that and say, well, we want to be up there. We want a piece of this pie. So they're going to push through in the May wall. Okay, they catch Mano, who gets nano boosted because Libero was, Jonak was actually playing that off angle. Libero was also there. He gets the ice block. Bacon Jack may have overextended to try and find that kill. That's a very convoluted way for New York to find a pick, and they still lose Libero on the backside, and Mano doesn't have a fire.
There's players everywhere. I mean, there are players everywhere. Eviltal's around the corner. This will be a Blizzard from Jinmu indoors yet again.
Okay.
So, ooh.
A sleep dart from Jonak.
Well, we got a fight breaking out on the cart between the Rhines and the Lucios. But this is what Chengdu wants. Chengdu wants this type of playstyle where players, just the bodies everywhere, people are throwing ultimates out like crazy. They want to turn it into this type of game.
New York went 2 whole maps without sort of submitting to the bloodlust. Credit to them,
like
but here it is, 1 minute left.
It's like surrender to madness, right? Like their sanity is being drained from them.
Oh, God. they need more corruption resistance on their cloak map, but it's not going to work. Libero over the edge. And YXL now 50 seconds. Now, getting the high ground is kind of been the issue here. The Chengdu Hunters have a perfectly reasonable composition to make the most of that. And Eviltal again.
I would say BLBB there. I mean, that's, you can't even, there's nothing Eviltal could do. But he had a sound barrier. That's brutal. That's brutal. I mean,
New York just waited for that to happen. He's like, yo, watch me. I'm going to sit here. I bet you Eviltal is going to come screeching around a corner at me and I'll just flash him. Deadeye.
Try and boost him.
All right. Buy some time. Gravitic Flux. Bacon Jack opted into that one as he's trying to get some flights on the spaceship. But cart's moving. Again, Eviltal. Well, he's well acquainted with the flash by now. Seoul again steals the Oh, no. It's a tough one for the Lucia here for Chengdu. But NYXL.
Chengdu played so well there. And, you know, it's just one kill that happens. Whereas Savior be hiding around the corner, Eviltal flying around, going off the walls. So he gets picked off, and man, that's brutal to lose if you're Chengdu. Chengdu was really looking good on D. I mean, after their, well, I mean, I don't say really good, right? I mean, their point A hold was horrific, but they're looking really good there. I mean, that was, they played perfectly in terms of using ultimates as well. It's just Savior B comes up with an early pick.
Well, NYXL looks like they'd actually get bogged down in the chaos that Chengdu were trying to cause, but they managed to harness it, use it themselves, but will it corrupt them? Okay, Savior will be down, so there's a bit of a push on the high ground from the Hunters here. They realize that NYXL a little split between high and low ground, and now Hopper kind of awkwardly makes the decision whether to try and commit to the payload. I guess they're just going to try and get it over with, back to spawn, reset as quickly as they can. Chengdu needs to get into the fire once more, because NYXL punish them yet again.
But nothing for New York here, though, towards the end. Getting very close to completing the map. See if Chengdu can get a touch, but they do have the Blizzard here to use. They have a Shatter, and they're not able to get there. It's the boops, the displacement from NYXL, knocking the players of Chengdu away.
Chengdu, man, they try and go aggressive. They try and sort of play the high ground and take the fight to New York, and we've seen this happen time and time again in this particular match. Chengdu may be unsure about where do we start here? You know, what target are we trying to locate? And this is what NYXL do to teams, by the way. They try and, you know, they try and present you a facade that that has no weaknesses, no cracks, and say, okay, well, it's up to you to find out how to actually get an advantage in this fight. Positioning-wise, composition-wise, like we saw on Oasis, and again, we see so many teams break upon them like waves on Rock, even though NYXL with the attacking team. It's not uncommon to see teams, Matt, try and take things into their own hands, but quite often you get punished more for doing that than just sitting back and playing it safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, New York, this is interesting. Sombra composition with mono on the Winston. Probably they want to play close up, want to take that first fight. Gives them a little bit more mobility, right, to play around the buildings, hop on the Diva as well. You can play, also with this type of composition, right, you can play Jonak from a distance and Animo down by the cart. You can let him just kind of go crazy in terms of, you know, just putting down damage. What does Chengdu play, though? So Linksa hasn't locked in yet, so he'll play the Lucius. So this is a different look for Chengdu with these players in the lineup. But maybe this is just to check, right? Sonic Arrow to throw out, Jinmu on the Sombra, really good to go. Invis, translocate, then come back. So what is Chengdu's answer to this? Is it just going to be another May McCree matchup, or are they going to play this Sombra?
I mean, NYXL in a good position here to make this spawn camp happen, right? They have high ground, they have dive tanks, they have someone like Jonak in their back line, sat with Sabiobi. Libero can actually push into Chengdu's back line and punish Jinmu. Ori has a translocator forced here. Keep your eyes on Mana, keep an eye on that health bar there, and keep an eye on the defense matrix from Hotbar.
It's kind of weird in a way. I almost feel worse for Chengdu with them trying to run this than what they were running, because you're putting so much pressure on Jinmu to be able to get one of these hacks, as Sabio will be able to take out Evil Top from the high ground. As even if Jinmu gets a hack or gets an EMP up on the high ground, who are they diving? Like, there's no dive target. Like, there's no players from Chengdu that can dive. And also, if you EMP the tanks on the ground, like Jonak and Sabiobi can just play at range. They're never in harm's way. So then the Transcendence can just come down, they can Deadeye and play from a distance. The Sombra here, there's nothing to work with it other than Elsa, but if Elsa doesn't stay with the rest of his team, they're dead. Okay, so this is a classic trap. This is better though. This is better though. When you have the Winston play now, this makes sense.
Oh, well, Bacon Jack down early here, and keep in mind as well, no Brig here for Chengdu. NYXL have actually gone for it here. Anima with that pick, and maybe they were expecting that they need to do more work to control elsewhere on the high ground, maybe give Sabiobi their protection. You know, Brig and McCree playing close together like we saw at sort of the start of this season in tandem.
Well, the Brig here for NYXL is in so they can brawl with the Reinhardt comps, and also you can get healing to the tanks and keep the Zenyatta at range. You also have potential to just kind of play the Brig down with Zen and just use them as, you know, just be able to protect the dive coming through. Sabiobi will take out Jinmu. Jinmu's still not with this EMP yet. So even with the switch off of the Rhine, now you lose so much ult charge there. A minute 49 on the clock. And mind you, New York will probably keep this going for another, let's say, 15 or 20 seconds at best case scenario for Chengdu, and then get another fight, which is probably another 20 seconds away from that. So, and he gets booped using the nano off the side after using his jump, so it doesn't have prime.
That was a whip shot.
Back up, yeah.
Jonak doesn't have to use his Transcendence as well. He can save it for such time as Jinmu tries to make an EMP play here. Mano is down to Bacon Jack, but they can just back up a little bit here. EMP also gives NYXL a pole position in this fight, and Jonak is Giga with 300 health points with all that armor he gets from the rally. It's just wrong.
The best case scenario here for Chengdu is what? You're going to get another fight where you EMP and Jonak has trance. And if New York plays this right and they play the choke, they potentially could get a second fight out of this.
Matt, you commit EMP when you're down a main tank to hold and win the fight any day of the week. Now, where NYXL are getting pushed back to is much less ideal positioning for them. They don't, by default, have high ground now to play from.
They do want to give up some space, though, to allow everybody to fan out and potentially dodge the EMP.
Jinmu's trying to catch.
They know where Jonak is, but if they go all the way back to go get Jonak, they're going to lose the fight on the front.
EMP. Jinmu and Bacon Jack caught by that one. Actually, Bacon Jack hacked, sorry. It was Mano that got EMP. He got put to sleep quickly after. But again, Jonak was sitting right in the back. Plenty of time to get his Transcendence off and bring it into the fight. Again, they lose Mano, but they just don't care.
One for one.
It's the main tank.
Fine. Yeah, you trade one for one on the main tanks. It's totally fine if you're NYXL.
And you get a gainful Transcendence, even with an EMP used in that same fight. You get everything you want.
Deadeye self-destruct here for NYXL. This is looking like a 3-0.
Yeah, Chengdu now really had to make a difference in this next fight. Upper goes a little bit low, but he's going to be able to back away. Here's a self-destruct over the top, and ample time for Jonak and Co to get inside, out of the range. Yveltal is taken down now, and a dead eye from Sabiobi captures Bacon Jack. That's an Ana and a McCree missing now from Chengdu, and they don't have any staying power without a Diva. The D-suit insta-headshot on towards Elsa. 8-Sing falls, and the NYXL, they've done it again. The clean 3-0. They get their revenge against the team who handed them their first 4-0 ever. But they'll be pleased with their debut, their return here to Overwatch in the Asian region. My God.
Oh, wow. What a performance there from NYXL. Well, it's interesting. It's like we saw Seoul at the beginning of the night. Everyone was like, oh, man, I can't wait for that. When they play against Shanghai, Shanghai comes in. Wow, they're super impressive. And then New York at the end of the night was like, well, hold on a sec. We're here now, too. We can show up at the party and hang out. As they looked very, very good. As you probably saw, the 3 best teams in the Asian region all win tonight.
And, I mean, talk about the DPS lineup we saw for the NYXL. One of the most consistent features of this NYXL lineup was actually Sabiobi, who in the past, there was this whole narrative about Sabiobi just being a really good leader.
Yes.
You're like, you know when someone talks about someone as like a leader, that's the first thing they say about him? It sometimes means that they don't think they're actually very good at fragging. Sabiobi over the course of this series, though, Matt, looked incredible. I mean, Rialto, that last map, I was looking at his damage numbers here, and they were popping. It wasn't
Dorado,
just,
Dorado.
It wasn't, Dorado, excuse me. It wasn't just, motivating the troops. He was actually finding some really clean shots there. The amount of times he was hitting headshots on Jinmu's Sombra, forcing translocates. Across the whole series, he looked great. He locked the legs in map 1, Matt, and, I mean, he was already MVP in my heart after that one. Fantastic showing from the Capitan.
He's not the flashiest player, right? We don't have a huge, crazy highlight montage to run of Sabiobi with crazy plays and caster reactions, but he's just an extremely consistent player. His aim on the hit scan heroes is phenomenal, and he always seems to come up clutch. And today for New York, he was a really strong factor for them in terms of having that hit scan in a lot of the time. So, I mean,
NYXL now, Matt, they haven't skipped a beat. They've spent a decent amount of time away from competitive play, and that can have an impact, but they're still getting their scrims in. Their front line is, I mean, we talk about Shanghai and Seoul looking so good. I mean, all 3 of those teams, including NYXL, what they have in common, in my opinion, are really frightening front lines. I cannot wait to see these teams now start to trade blows with one another. I mean, now I should be looking to the Asian region. If people aren't staying up, if they're in the US, they should be. I mean, I'm glad that I did. And some of these matches have been fantastic.
Well, you'd have no option to stay up right now. I mean, yeah, you'd have to be up. But no, I've been watching a lot of these games late at night because we talk about a lot of them, when we do like the podcasts and whatnot. And just obviously to know like what are the other teams out there is the play in this region is phenomenal, and it's always fun to see all the different types of compositions they come up with. As usually it's a little bit of a different meta than what we see in NA.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I'm really loving this hero pool, Matt. We're seeing plenty of the Reinhardt play. McCree in the mix a bunch. The Far is also getting used there. A lot of diversity in a lot of our supports as well. We're seeing plenty of Batiste, Ana, Zen, all of that mixed in. Brig, Lucio, ton of those different ones there. So if you guys now are looking broadly over this weekend of games to come, you should be very excited. Not only does the meta look really great, the next match is going to be the Atlanta Reign versus the Philadelphia Fusion, 1 p.m. PST, which is, I don't know,
it's like
8.5 hours away. Yeah. That's, if you're wondering. That's going to be very, very good. We're going to get a kip, and we're going to try and get up for that one, because there's not one you want to miss there as well. So we're going to shift back over towards the North American games and see how they play out. Matt, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, been fun.
To jump on some late night games with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. And we will see you very, very soon. Remember, 8.5 hours, Atlanta Reign, Philadelphia Fusion is coming up next. We'll see you then.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.